Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto had a Kekkei Genkai stronger than Rinnegan? The sunset bled crimson across Konoha's horizon, painting long shadows that stretched like accusing fingers down the village's narrow alleyways. 7-year-old Naruto Uzumaki sprinted through these shadows, his sandals slapping against the dirt, each breath burning in his lungs. The festival commemorating the defeat of the nine-tailed fox had begun, and as always, it brought out the worst in certain villagers, especially after they'd been drinking. There he goes, the demon brat. Don't let him get away this time. The voices echoed behind him, bouncing off stone walls and ringing in his ears. Naruto had only wanted to watch the festival from a distance, to see the lanterns and smell the food he couldn't afford. He hadn't meant to bump into anyone, hadn't meant to spill that man's drink. Naruto skidded around a corner, his heart hammering against his ribs. The orange jacket he wore, too large for his small frame, flapped behind him like a surrendering flag. He'd worn it thinking it might help him blend in with the festival colors. Instead, it had made him a target. Just a little further, he gasped to himself. If he could reach the main street, there would be ninja witnesses. People who might not like him but wouldn't allow. His thoughts shattered as he slammed into a wall of flesh. Bouncing backward, Naruto looked up into the flushed face of a burly villager. The man's eyes narrowed with a hatred the boy couldn't understand. Gotcha. The man's thick fingers clamped down on Naruto's shoulder, digging into the hollow space above his collarbone. Pain shot through Naruto's body, but he twisted, kicked, and broke free, only to realize he'd been hurted. The alley ended in a brick wall, too high to climb, too solid to break through, and behind him, blocking the only exit, stood 5 men, their faces twisted with loathing. Nowhere to run now, Fox. Naruto pressed his back against the wall, trying to make himself smaller. I didn't do nothing. I just wanted to see the festival. See it? A man with a scar running across his chin stepped forward. My brother died when that monster inside you attacked. And you want to celebrate? I'm not. I didn't. Naruto's voice cracked as tears welled in his eyes. He hated crying in front of them, hated giving them the satisfaction, but fear clawed at his throat. The first blow caught him across the cheek, snapping his head to the side. Pain exploded behind his eyes as he crumpled to the ground. A kick followed, catching him in the ribs. Then another. And another. This is for my brother. For my wife. For Konoha. Each accusation punctuated with pain. Naruto curled into a ball, arms wrapped around his head. Something warm trickled down his face. Blood or tears, he couldn't tell anymore. The world narrowed to pinpricks of agony, each breath a struggle against broken ribs that might not be broken at all, but felt like they were splintering into his lungs. Why? What did I ever do to them? The thought crystallized in his mind as a boot connected with his spine. Something deep inside Naruto, something ancient and powerful, stirred in response. I don't want to die. Time seemed to slow. The next kick approached his face with glacial speed. Naruto could see the dirt caked in the boot's treads, could count the individual droplets of spit flying from his attacker's mouth. The world around him took on a golden hue, as if the sunset had intensified and filtered through amber glass. Power surged through his body, alien yet intimately familiar, like remembering something he'd never known he'd forgotten. It flowed from his core outward, racing along pathways he'd never sensed before. It reached his eyes, and suddenly he could see, truly see. The men weren't just men anymore. They were networks of light and energy, pulsing with colors Naruto had no names for. He could see the chakra flowing through their bodies, could identify the knots of rage and fear feeding their hatred. Most astonishing of all, he could see himself, a blinding sun of chakra with mysterious golden pathways intertwined with familiar blue ones. His eyes. One of the men stumbled backward. What the hell is wrong with his eyes? The boot that had been aimed at Naruto's face never connected. Instead, as if responding to his desperate wish to be safe, golden light erupted from his body, a perfect dome of energy that expanded outward. It didn't hurt the men. It simply pushed them back, lifting them off their feet and depositing them gently but firmly at the alley's entrance. Naruto rose shakily to his feet, the pain of his injuries already fading as that same golden energy knitted his bruises from within. The men stared at him in horror, their hatred momentarily eclipsed by a more primal emotion, fear. Monster! The scar-faced man turned and fled, the others close behind. Naruto stood alone in the alley, the golden barrier slowly dissipating like morning mist. He raised trembling hands to his face, feeling the contours that hadn't changed despite the strange new vision. The world gradually returned to normal colors, the heightened perception of chakra fading to the edges of his awareness. What had just happened? In his office atop the Hokage Tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi's pipe clattered to the floor. The third Hokage had been watching Naruto through his crystal ball, as he often did during festivals, times when the boy was at greatest risk. He'd been about to dispatch Anbu when the change had occurred. Golden eyes with a spiral pattern and 3 concentric rings, a perfect barrier technique executed without hand signs. And that chakra, ancient, powerful, and definitely not the 9 tails. Impossible, he whispered, his weathered face ashen in the crystal's glow. After all these centuries, the door to his office burst open without a knock. A lean Anbu operative wearing a hawk mask strode in, body coiled with tension. Lord Hokage. The Uzumaki boy, I saw. Hiruzen's voice was steady despite the tremor in his hands. Bring him to me. Immediately. And with absolute discretion. The Anbu hesitated, head tilting slightly. Sir, should I inform the council elders? This development may be related to the 9 tails. No. The command cut through the air like a blade. This is beyond the 9 tails, beyond even what the council should know for now. Bring Naruto directly to me, and speak of what you saw to no one. As the Anbu vanished in a swirl of leaves, Hiruzen moved to a hidden panel in the wall of his office. His fingers danced through a complex sequence of seals, and the panels slid aside to reveal a small alcove containing a single ancient scroll sealed with wax bearing a symbol that hadn't been seen in Konoha for generations. To think it would appear in Minato's son, he murmured, carefully removing the scroll. The Shinzokugan, the divine ancestry eye. Not seen since before the time of the sage himself. The wax seal cracked beneath his fingers, the sound unnaturally loud in the quiet office. The scroll's paper was yellow with age, its edges crumbling despite the preservation jutsu that had protected it. The text within was written in a script so old that few besides the Hokage could still read it. The eyes that see the truth of all creation. The power that predates the divisions of chakra. The bloodline that the sage himself feared to confront directly. Hiruzen sank heavily into his chair, the weight of this discovery pressing down on his shoulders. If Naruto truly possessed this Kekkei Genkai, it would change everything. The balance of power in the village, the boy's future, perhaps even the course of the shinobi world itself. The soft tap of sandals on his windowsill interrupted his thoughts. He glanced up to see a different Anbu, this one wearing an unusual mask decorated with red lions that didn't conform to any standard Anbu design. Report, Hiruzen ordered, carefully rolling the scroll closed. I witnessed the awakening, Lord Hokage. The Anbu's voice was oddly distorted, neither clearly male nor female. The chakra signature matches the descriptions in the ancient texts. Hiruzen's eyes narrowed. You shouldn't know about those texts. The Anbu remained silent, head bowed slightly in acknowledgement of the rebuke. How long have you been watching the boy? Since his birth, Lord Hokage. As was arranged. A heavy sigh escaped Hiruzen's lips. I had hoped this bloodline had died out with the purges during the Warring States period. That it would never resurface, for Naruto's sake as much as anyone's. The blood always finds a way, Lord Hokage. The Anbu's mask tilted toward the window, gazing out at the festival lights below. When the fourth sealed the 9 tails within his son, the surge of foreign chakra must have activated dormant pathways in the boy's system. Pathways that have been waiting for generations to reawaken. And now that they have, we face a new dilemma. Hiruzen ran a weathered hand over the scroll. The elders will want to use him as a weapon. Danzo will demand he be placed en route. Foreign villages would kidnap or kill him if they knew. Then they must not know. The Anbu straightened. The boy requires training. Specialized training that only a handful of people in the village could provide. A knock at the door signaled Naruto's arrival. The mysterious Anbu melted into the shadows as if they had never been there. Enter, Hiruzen called, quickly concealing the ancient scroll within his robes. The door opened to reveal Naruto, small and disheveled, escorted by the Hawkmaster Anbu. The boy's clothes were torn and dirty, his face streaked with blood and tears, but the injuries themselves had already healed. Another sign of what had awakened within him. "Old man?" Naruto's voice quavered. Something weird happened. My eyes, they changed, and I could see everything. Hiruzen dismissed the Hawkeye with a nod and beckoned Naruto closer. When they were alone, he moved from behind his desk and knelt before the boy, placing gentle hands on his shoulders. "Naruto," he said softly, "what happened to you today is both wonderful and dangerous. You have awakened something very special, a power that runs in your blood from a time before the hidden villages, before even the Sage of Six Paths." Naruto's blue eyes widened, no trace now of the golden transformation. "Like a ninja power? Like the Sharingan that the Uchiha have?" A smile touched the Hokage's lips. "Similar, but much older and much more powerful. It's called the Shinzokugen, the Divine Ancestry Eye, and from this day forward, we must keep it a secret, even as you learn to control it." "A secret? But why?" Naruto's face fell. "I thought maybe people would stop hating me if they saw I had something special too." Hiruzen's heart ached at the naked longing in the boy's voice. "Some secrets protect us, Naruto. This power you have, there are people who would do terrible things to possess it. Until you can fully control it, knowledge of its existence would put you in grave danger." The boy's shoulders slumped, but then he raised his head, a flicker of determination igniting in his eyes. "Will you teach me to control it, old man?" "Not personally. My duties as Hokage prevent that. But I will find someone who can." Hiruzen squeezed Naruto's shoulders reassuringly. "For now, I want you to tell me everything you felt and saw when your eyes changed." As Naruto described the golden light, the slowing of time, the visible chakra networks, and the instinctive barrier, Hiruzen listened with growing wonder and concern. The boy's description matched the ancient texts perfectly, the first manifestation of the Shinzokugen, responding to mortal danger. From the shadows, the mysterious Anbu watched silently, the red markings on their masks seeming to shift in the dim light of the office. When Naruto finished his account, Hiruzen nodded thoughtfully. "Beginning tomorrow, you'll start special training. It will be difficult, and you must tell no one. Not your teachers at the academy, not your classmates, no one." Naruto's face split into a wide grin, his earlier fear forgotten in the excitement of learning something new, something that belonged to him alone. "I promise, old man. I won't tell anybody." As Hiruzen arranged for an Anbu escort to take Naruto safely home, he gazed out at the village he had sworn to protect. The festival lanterns glowed like earthbound stars, beautiful and peaceful, belying the dangerous currents now flowing beneath Konoha's surface. The Shinzokugen had awakened after centuries of dormancy. The bloodline that predated modern shinobi, that channeled chakra in its most primordial form, before it had been divided into elements, before it had been codified into hand science and jutsu, and it had awakened in Naruto Uzumaki, who already carried the burden of the nine-tailed fox. "Watch over him tonight," Hiruzen instructed the Hawkmaster Anbu. "Tomorrow, his real training begins." After they departed, the third Hokage returned to his desk and unsealed a second, smaller scroll, this one bearing the emblem of the fourth Hokage. "Minato," he murmured, "your son has inherited more than just your looks and your burden. The question now is whether we can keep him safe long enough to master what flows in his veins." In the darkened office, no one remained to hear the Hokage's words except the mysterious Anbu, who stepped from the shadows once more. "I will begin preparations for the boy's training," they said quietly. Hiruzen nodded without looking up. He has his father's determination and his mother's resilience. He will need both in the days to come. And if the elders discover what he possesses? The Hokage's eyes hardened, a glimpse of the formidable shinobi known as the god of shinobi emerging from behind the grandfatherly facade. They won't. Not until he's ready. The Anbu bowed and disappeared in a flutter of cloth, leaving the third Hokage alone with ancient secrets, and the weight of a future suddenly altered. Outside, the festival continued, citizens celebrating the defeat of a monster while unknowingly walking the same streets as a boy who carried something far more ancient, and potentially far more powerful. Then, the nine-tailed fox, The awakening had begun. Dawn broke over Konoha in shattered fragments of gold and crimson, painting the carved faces of the Hokage monument with warm light that belied the chill in the morning air. Naruto yawned, scrubbing sleep from his eyes as he trudged up the winding path behind a silver-haired ANBU who hadn't spoken a single word since appearing at his apartment door 20 minutes earlier. "Hey, mask face," Naruto called, his voice echoing against the rock face. "Where exactly are we going? The old man just said I'd be getting special training. Not that I'd have to wake up when it's still practically nighttime." The ANBU glanced back, hawk mask gleaming in the early light. "Almost there. And it's 6 a.m., hardly practically nighttime," Naruto huffed, kicking a pebble that skittered down the path behind them. His muscles still ached from yesterday's attack, phantom pains that persisted despite the miraculous healing. The memories felt surreal in the light of day. Golden eyes, visible chakra, that perfect barrier forming without a single hand sign. The ANBU stopped abruptly before a section of rock that looked identical to every other section of the mountainside. Naruto crashed into the operative's back, bouncing off with a muttered apology. "Pay attention," the ANBU commanded, fingers flashing through a complex sequence of signs before pressing both palms against the stone. The rock face shimmered like heat rising from summer pavement, then melted away to reveal a narrow passageway cut deep into the mountain. Cool air rushed out, carrying the scent of earth and something else. Something electric that made the hairs on Naruto's arms stand up. Whoa! Naruto's fatigue evaporated. A secret hideout. Is this where all the ANBU train? Or where the Hokage keeps super-secret forbidden jutsu scrolls? The ANBU's mask tilted slightly in what might have been amusement. Nothing so dramatic. It's a specialized training ground, sealed and shielded to contain unusual chakra manifestations. Naruto's excitement dimmed slightly. "So it's for freaks like me, huh?" A hand landed on his shoulder, surprisingly gentle. "It's for shinobi with abilities too powerful or unique to be safely practiced in conventional facilities. The fourth Hokage himself trained here. Consider it an honor." Pride bloomed in Naruto's chest at being mentioned in the same breath as the legendary fourth. He squared his shoulders and marched into the passage, determination overriding his lingering doubts. The tunnel opened into a vast underground cavern, easily the size of the academy's practice field. Smooth stone walls arched overhead, inscribed with intricate seal work that pulsed with faint blue light. The floor was packed earth, scattered with training dummies and basic equipment. At the far end stood a single figure, silhouetted against a wall of softly glowing crystals that provided illumination. "You're late, Hawk." The figure stepped forward, features resolving into those of a woman perhaps in her mid-30s. Her dark hair was pulled into a severe bun, accenting sharp cheekbones and eyes the color of burnished copper. She wore standard Jonin blues, but her vest was missing the usual scroll pockets, replaced by an intricate pattern of stitching that Naruto recognized from the edges of explosive tags. "Apologies, Kasumi-san." The ANBU bowed slightly. The boy was reluctant to wake. The woman, Kasumi, fixed Naruto with an appraising stare that made him feel like a butterfly pinned to a board. "So this is him. Smaller than I expected." "Hey!" Naruto bristled. "I'm still growing. And who are you calling small, anyway?" A smile flickered across Kasumi's face, there and gone so quickly Naruto wondered if he'd imagined it. "Spirited, at least." "You may go, Hawk. I'll take it from here." The ANBU nodded and retreated, the passage sealing itself behind him with a rumble of stone on stone. Naruto shifted uncomfortably under Kasumi's continued scrutiny. "So are you gonna teach me how to use my freaky eyes?" "Shinzo Kugen," she corrected sharply. "Not freaky eyes. The divine ancestry eye. And yes, I'm going to help you learn to access and control it, though teach might be ambitious at this stage." She circled him slowly, those copper eyes missing nothing. "You have no idea what you're carrying inside you, do you?" Naruto shrugged, defensive. "The nine tails, right? Everybody in the village knows that, even if they pretend I don't know. Not the fox." Kasumi stopped directly in front of him, dropping to one knee to meet his eyes. "Something far older. Something that hasn't been seen in the shinobi world for centuries. The third Hokage has entrusted me with your training because I'm one of the few people alive who has studied the theoretical principles behind primordial chakra forms." "Primo what?" "Primordial." Original. The way chakra existed before the Sage of Six Paths standardized its use. She reached out suddenly, pressing 2 fingers to Naruto's forehead. Close your eyes. Tell me what you feel. Naruto scowled but complied, shutting his eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. Then he felt it, a gentle prodding at the edges of his awareness, like someone knocking on a door deep inside his mind. There's something, he said hesitantly. Like a tingle, but inside my head. That's my chakra signature, Kasumi explained. I'm directing a small current toward the pathways behind your eyes. Now, focus on that sensation. Try to grasp it, to pull it toward you. Naruto concentrated, trying to mentally grab the tingling sensation. It slipped away like water through his fingers. I can't hold it, you're trying too hard. Kasumi's voice remained level, patient. Don't force it. Imagine your mind as still water, and my chakra as a leaf floating on the surface. Just watch it. Naruto exhaled slowly, doing his best to quiet the usual chaotic swirl of his thoughts. The tingling sensation became clearer, more defined. He could almost see it now, a thread of energy, copper-colored like Kasumi's eyes. I see it, he whispered, surprised. It's like a string, or a river. Good. Now, remember how it felt yesterday when your eyes changed. The danger of the fear, but also the power. Try to reconnect with that feeling. Instantly, Naruto's concentration shattered, memories of fists and boots and hateful eyes flooding back. He jerked away from Kasumi's touch, eyes flying open. I don't want to think about that. You must. Her voice was firm but not unkind. Until you master conscious activation, emotional triggers are our best access point. Naruto folded his arms stubbornly. There's gotta be another way. Kasumi studied him for a long moment, then sighed. Very well. We'll try something different. She straightened and walked to the center of the cavern. Attack me? What? You heard me. She beckoned, challenge flashing in her eyes. Come at me with everything you've got. If you land a single hit, I'll buy you ramen for dinner. Naruto's eyes lit up at the mention of ramen. Really? You promise? Shinobi's honor. Kasumi settled into a relaxed stance, hands loose at her sides. Well? I'm waiting. Grinning now, Naruto charged forward with a battle cry that echoed off the cavern walls. He swung his fist in a wild haymaker that Kasumi dodged with negligible movement. His momentum carried him past her, and he whirled, frustrated, to try again, and again, and again. 10 minutes later, Naruto sprawled on the ground, panting and sweaty, while Kasumi stood exactly where she'd started, not a hair out of place. This isn't fair, he complained, pushing himself up on trembling arms. You're a jonin, and you're the container of the nine-tailed fox and the inheritor of the Shinzokugen, she countered. Neither of which will help you if you can't access them when needed. Naruto climbed to his feet, determination settling over his features like a mask. One more time. Very well. This time, Naruto approached more cautiously, circling Kasumi like he'd seen older students do at the academy. He feinted left, then dived right, aiming a kick at her knee. She pivoted effortlessly, and his foot passed through empty air. Before he could recover, she flicked his forehead with one finger, sending him tumbling backward. Frustration boiled in his gut, hot and acidic. It wasn't fair. Everyone was always so much stronger, so much better. The familiar sense of inadequacy rose like bile in his throat. I'm tired of being weak. The thought crystallized with surprising clarity, and something inside Naruto shifted. The world slowed, colors bleeding into that same golden hue he'd experienced in the alley. Kasumi's form resolved into a complex network of light and energy, chakra pathways illuminated like a living map. There, she breathed, copper eyes widening. You've done it! Naruto stared at his hands, which now appeared to be wreathed in dual-layered energy. His normal blue chakra intertwined with threads of gold that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. I can see everything, he whispered, awestruck. Your chakra, the seals on the walls, even the earth beneath us, it's all connected. Kasumi nodded, her own form seeming to shimmer slightly as she channeled chakra to her eyes. What else do you notice? About my chakra specifically? Naruto squinted, focusing on the swirling energy that defined his teacher. It's mostly blue, but with streaks of red and green. And there's a knot right, he pointed to her left shoulder. There, like the energy doesn't flow smooth. An old injury, she confirmed, impressed. The chakra network never fully recovered. You're seeing more detail than even a Byakugan user could perceive. Now try to move toward me while maintaining the activation. Naruto took a hesitant step forward, then another. The golden view remained, the world rendered in extraordinary detail. He could see the slight fluctuations in Kasumi's chakra as she breathed, could track the minute adjustments in her stance. I think I see how you've been dodging me, he realized suddenly. Your chakra shifts a fraction of a second before your body moves. It's like I can see what you're going to do before you do it, precisely. Kasumi's voice held genuine approval. The Shinzo-kugan allows you to perceive chakra at its most fundamental level, before it even manifests as physical action. In battle, this gives you an almost precognitive advantage. Naruto grinned, the expression feeling strange on a face tingling with unfamiliar energy. So I can beat you now, don't get cocky. Kasumi raised one eyebrow. Seeing an attack coming doesn't automatically mean you'll be fast enough to counter it. But it's a start. Without warning, she launched forward, her fist aimed directly at Naruto's face. Despite the Kekkei Genkai's enhanced perception, he barely managed to duck in time, the rush of air from her punch ruffling his hair. See? Kasumi straightened, adjusting her sleeves. Now try to maintain the activation for as long as possible. We need to build your endurance. For the next hour, Naruto worked to hold the Shinzo-kugan active, the effort becoming increasingly taxing. It felt like trying to keep a muscle flexed long past the point of fatigue. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and his vision began to waver between normal and golden. That's enough, Kasumi finally said as Naruto swayed on his feet. Release it before you collapse. Naruto gratefully let the golden vision fade, immediately dropping to sit cross-legged on the ground. Is it always gonna be this hard? Any Kekkei Genkai requires conditioning, Kasumi explained, handing him a canteen of water. The Uchiha train for years to master their Sharingan. The Hyuga begin Byakugan exercises almost as soon as they can walk. You're already showing remarkable aptitude, accessing it twice in 2 days. She settled beside him, her usually rigid posture relaxing slightly. Tell me what you saw. Everything, in as much detail as you can remember. Between gulps of water, Naruto described the golden overlay, the visible chakra networks, the way he could track the flow of energy through objects and people. Kasumi listened intently, occasionally making notes on a small scroll. And the colors? She prompted. You mentioned seeing red and green in my chakra. Naruto nodded enthusiastically. Yeah. It was mostly blue, but with these other colors swirling through it. Is that normal? It's significant, Kasumi said carefully. What you're seeing are the 5 basic nature transformations that comprise all chakra. Blue for water, red for fire, green for wind, brown for earth, and white for lightning. Most shinobi can only perceive chakra as a single color, even with dojutsu. The ability to see all 5 components simultaneously is exceptional. Pride swelled in Naruto's chest. So I've got super eyes, huh? You have a profound responsibility, Kasumi corrected, though a hint of amusement softened her words. One that requires equally profound discipline. Their conversation was interrupted by the rumble of stone as the entrance to the cavern reopened. Naruto turned, expecting the Hawkmaster and Biyu, but instead found himself looking at the third Hokage, accompanied by a familiar silver-haired jonin, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto blurted, then quickly corrected himself. I mean, Kakashi-san? What are you doing here? The copy ninja's visible eye crinkled in what might have been a smile beneath his mask. Just observing, Naruto. The Hokage thought I might have some insight into your training. Hiruzen nodded, his aged face grave beneath his official hat. How is our young friend progressing, Kasumi? Better than expected, Lord Hokage. She rose smoothly to her feet, Naruto scrambling up beside her. He's achieved conscious activation and maintained it for nearly 7 minutes on his second attempt. His chakra perception is extraordinarily detailed, and he's already demonstrated rudimentary predictive capability. The Hokage's eyebrows rose. Impressive indeed. Naruto, how do you feel? Tired, Naruto admitted. But good tired, like after really hard training. and hungry. Kasumi-sensei promised me ramen if I could hit her, which you didn't, Kasumi pointed out dryly. Yet, Naruto countered with a cheeky grin. Kakashi chuckled softly, then addressed Kasumi. Has he demonstrated any spatial manipulation yet? The question hung in the air, laden with significance that Naruto didn't understand. Kasumi shook her head. Not yet. We've focused solely on activation and perception today. Spatial mani, what now? Naruto looked between the adults, frustrated at being discussed as if he weren't present. Is that another eye thing? It's complicated, Kakashi said, exchanging glances with the Hokage. But if you're not too tired, perhaps we could try a simple exercise. Hiruzen nodded permission, and Kakashi stepped forward, pulling a small rubber ball from his pocket. Naruto, I want you to activate your Shinzokugen again and focus on this ball. Really focus on it, as if nothing else in the world exists. Naruto frowned in concentration, calling up the now familiar shift in perception. The world bled into golden light, and the rubber ball in Kakashi's hand became a marvel of complexity. Layers of molecules held together by minute threads of energy. I see it, he confirmed, staring intently. Good. Now, imagine that the space between you and the ball is like a piece of paper. And you can fold that paper, bringing 2 points together that were once far apart. Naruto's brow furrowed. The concept was bizarre, yet somehow it resonated with something deep within him, as if awakening an intuitive understanding that had always been there. Fold the space? He repeated, trying to visualize it. Yes, Kakashi encouraged. Imagine you can reach out and touch the ball without moving your arm. The distance between you isn't fixed. It's fluid, malleable. Naruto stretched out his hand, concentrating fiercely on the ball in Kakashi's palm. At first, nothing happened. Then, almost imperceptibly, the air between them seemed to ripple, like heat waves rising from summer pavement. That's it, Kakashi murmured. Focus. Naruto poured every ounce of concentration into the task, his entire world narrowing to the connection between his fingertips and the rubber ball. The rippling intensified, the space between them seeming to compress, to fold inward upon itself. And then, with a sound like air being sucked through a straw, reality warped. A small distortion, no larger than a dinner plate, formed in the air between Naruto and Kakashi. The rubber ball jerked violently from Kakashi's grasp, pulled toward the distortion as if by an invisible hand. Simultaneously, Kakashi himself stumbled forward, caught in the same inexorable pull. Release it! Kasumi's voice cut through Naruto's concentration. Startled, he blinked, and the golden vision faded. The distortion collapsed with a soft pop, leaving Kakashi slightly off balance, and the rubber ball rolling harmlessly across the floor. Well, Kakashi said after a moment of stunned silence, that was promising. The Hokage stroked his beard, eyes calculating. Indeed. Most promising. Naruto looked between them, confused and a little frightened by their reactions. What did I just do? You created a spatial distortion. Kasumi explained, her voice carefully controlled but unable to hide an undercurrent of excitement. A localized folding of space-time that attempted to bring 2 separate points into direct contact. A primitive form of what some might call teleportation, Kakashi added, retrieving the ball and turning it thoughtfully in his hands. Though dimensional folding would be more accurate. Like your teleporting technique, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked eagerly. A shadow seemed to pass over Kakashi's visible eye. Similar in concept, though far more instinctual. The 4th Hokage's Flying Thunder God technique required complex seal formulas and precise chakra control. What you just did was raw manipulation of space itself. The 4th technique, the Hokage said quietly, was actually derived from ancient accounts of abilities like the one you're developing, Naruto. A simplified, structured version of what once came naturally to certain bloodlines. Naruto's eyes widened. You mean the 4th Hokage copied his jutsu from my family? Not copied, Hiruzen corrected gently. Reinvented based on fragmentary historical records. Your bloodline was thought extinct long before the founding of Konoha, which makes what you just did all the more remarkable, Kasumi concluded. And potentially dangerous. Spatial manipulation requires extraordinary precision. Without proper control, you could create distortions that pull in unintended targets or worse. Naruto gulped. Worse? Dimensional folding gone wrong can tear holes in reality. Kakashi said bluntly. Create unstable pockets of space that collapse catastrophically. It's not something to experiment with unsupervised. The sobering warning hung in the air. For the first time, Naruto felt a flicker of real fear at the power awakening inside him. Not excitement or pride, but the weight of something that could cause terrible harm if misused. I won't, he promised solemnly. I'll only practice when Kasumi-sensei is with me. The Hokage nodded approvingly. Good. I think that's enough for one day. Kakashi, would you escort Naruto home? I need to speak with Kasumi privately. Of course, Lord Hokage. Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Come on, kid. I think you've earned that ramen, even if you didn't technically land a hit. Naruto's face lit up. Really? Ichiraku? Why not? Kakashi's eye crinkled again in that hidden smile. Kasumi's treat, naturally. The kunoichi rolled her eyes but didn't object, simply tossing a small money pouch to Kakashi. 2 bowls maximum. He needs proper nutrition, not just sodium and carbohydrates. As Kakashi led Naruto toward the exit, the boy glanced back at his new sensei. Same time tomorrow? Kasumi nodded, the ghost of a smile touching her lips. Don't be late. The stone passage sealed behind them, leaving the Hokage and Kasumi alone in the cavern. Your assessment? Hiruzen asked once they were gone. He's progressing faster than I anticipated, Kasumi admitted. His chakra control is abysmal. But the Kekkei Genkai seems to compensate somehow, bypassing the normal pathways. And that spatial distortion, yes. The Hokage's eyes narrowed. Troubling that it manifested so early, and so powerfully, Kasumi agreed. It took the 4th years to develop a stable space-time technique, and he was a prodigy with perfect chakra control. For Naruto to create even a rudimentary distortion on his first attempt, the bloodline is strong in him. Hiruzen sighed heavily. We must accelerate his training. The longer we can keep this development secret, the better. Kasumi hesitated, then asked the question that had been nagging at her since she'd first received this assignment. Lord Hokage, who else knows about the boy's heritage and this Kekkei Genkai, besides us? Kakashi, of course. Jiraiya has been informed, though he's currently away from the village. And the Hokage's face darkened. I suspect Danzo has his suspicions. His root operatives have been unusually active near Naruto's apartment since the incident. Danzo cannot be allowed to interfere, Kasumi said sharply. His methods would destroy the boy, or worse, corrupt him. I agree. Hiruzen's voice hardened. Which is why you will report any unusual surveillance directly to me. Naruto remains under my personal protection. Kasumi bowed deeply. Understood, Lord Hokage. As they departed through a different, hidden exit, either noticed the small, ink-black rat observing from the shadows, its eyes unnaturally intelligent. It waited until they were gone before dissolving into a puddle of animated ink that slithered away through a crack in the stone wall. In a dimly lit chamber far beneath Konoha, Danzo Shimura studied the report brought by his operative with cold calculation. Spatial distortion, he murmured, the words heavy with implication. On his first attempt. Yes, Lord Danzo, the root operative confirmed, kneeling before his master, face hidden behind a blank mask. The Uzumaki boy created a localized space-time anomaly approximately 30 centimeters in diameter, with sufficient gravitational force to affect objects within a 2-meter radius. And this occurred after less than 1 day of formal training. Correct, sir. Danzo tapped his fingers thoughtfully against his cane, the rhythm slow and deliberate. The potential applications are significant. Lord Hokage seems intent on keeping the boy's training closely supervised, sir. Kasumi Sato has been appointed as his primary instructor. Sato. Danzo's expression soured slightly. A logical choice. Her theoretical work on primordial chakra systems is unparalleled, if somewhat constrained by ethical considerations. He rose from his chair, moving to a wall lined with ancient scrolls and texts. His fingers traced over a particular scroll sealed with red wax, untouched for decades. The Shinzokugen, he mused. The divine ancestry thought extinct since before the founding of the shinobi village system. How ironic that it should resurface in Konoha's greatest liability. Your orders, sir? Continue observation. Do not interfere with the boy's training for now. but identify potential extraction points. Places and times when he might be separated from his handlers, should that become necessary. The operative bowed lower, accepting the implicit meaning behind Danzo's careful words. And if the Hokage discovers our surveillance? Danzo turned, his single visible eye as hard and cold as flint. Hiruzen sees only what he wishes to see, a child to be protected, a legacy to be preserved. He fails to recognize what I do, a weapon of incalculable value, one that Konoha cannot afford to leave undeveloped. He returned to his seat, decision made. The boy will be monitored, his progress tracked. And when the time is right, when his abilities have matured sufficiently, the words hum unfinished in the air, their meaning clear. The operative dissolved into the shadows, leaving Danzo alone with his plans and ambitions. In a village built on the ideal of the will of fire, other flames burned in secret, colder, darker, but no less determined to shape the future of the shinobi world. And at the center of those competing visions stood a 7-year-old boy with golden eyes that could see the truth of all creation and perhaps bend it to his will. The hidden training had only just begun. Morning sunlight slashed through the classroom windows, painting golden rectangles across scarred desktops and drowsy students. The chatter of 20-odd pre-genin filled the room, a symphony of boasts, whispers, and poorly concealed yawns. Amid this cacophony, Naruto Uzumaki sat uncharacteristically still, his usual boundless energy contained like a lid clamped over a boiling pot. 3 weeks had passed since his first training session beneath the Hokage monument. 3 weeks of dawn training with Kasumi-sensei, of exhausting himself mastering the basics of his newly awakened Kekkei Genkai, only to drag himself to the academy afterward and pretend to be the same old Naruto, loud, clumsy, and thoroughly unremarkable in his ninja skills. Today we'll be practicing the clone technique, Iruka-sensei announced, clapping his hands to silence the room. This is fundamental for your graduation exam, so pay close attention. A collective groan rippled through the classroom. Naruto's shoulders slumped further. The clone technique remained his worst jutsu, a stubborn roadblock that had withstood weeks of practice. Kasumi had explained the problem clinically. His massive chakra reserves, swollen further by the Shinzokugen's tendency to absorb ambient natural energy, made delicate chakra control nearly impossible without specialized training. We'll start with a demonstration, Iruka continued. Sasuke, would you please show the class? The last Uchiha rose from his seat like a prince accepting his due, midnight blue shirt crisp against pale skin, with barely a hand sign, just enough to be technically correct. He produced 3 perfect clones that flanked him like mirror images. Excellent chakra control, Sasuke, Iruka praised. Note the stable form and consistent coloration. The girls in the class erupted in admiring squeals. Sakura Haruno's voice rose above the din. Sasuke-kun is amazing. Her green eyes sparkled with admiration, pink hair bobbing as she clapped enthusiastically. Sasuke dismissed his clones with a flick of his wrist and a barely audible humph, then slid his gaze toward Naruto. Their eyes locked for a heartbeat, obsidian against cerulean, and Naruto felt the familiar fire of rivalry kindle in his chest. I could show him up so easily, Naruto thought with a flash of rebellious pride. Just 30 seconds of Shinzokugen, and I'd see exactly how his chakra flows when he makes those clones. But the Hokage's warning echoed in his mind. This power must remain secret until you can fully control it. The academy is not a place for experimentation. Naruto. Iruka's voice sliced through his thoughts. Since you're daydreaming, perhaps you'd like to go next? The class tittered with anticipation. Naruto Uzumaki's clone attempts were legendary for their comedic value. Translucent, washed-out versions of himself that looked more like rejected store mannequins than actual duplicates. Sure thing, Iruka-sensei. Naruto forced his trademark grin, the mask of the class clown sliding into place with practiced ease. He bounded to the front of the class, made a deliberate show of concentrating too hard, and performed the hand signs with exaggerated precision. A puff of smoke erupted beside him, clearing to reveal a sickly-looking clone. Better than his genuine worst attempts, but still obviously flawed. Its face sagged slightly on one side, and its coloration was several shades too pale. Laughter erupted around him. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly, the movement hiding the calculating gleam in his eyes. Not too good, not too terrible. Just bad enough to be believable. You need to focus on distributing your chakra evenly, Naruto. Iruka sighed, though a hint of suspicion flickered across his scarred face. Keep practicing. Naruto nodded and shambled back to his seat, intercepting Sasuke's gaze along the way. Something lurked in those dark eyes beyond the usual disdain, a narrowed, penetrating quality that suggested gears turning behind that stoic facade. He knows something's off, Naruto realized with a jolt. He's too sharp not to notice. Next, Sakura, Iruka called. The pink-haired girl practically floated to the front of the room, executing a flawless set of clones that drew appreciative nods even from Sasuke. Her precise chakra control, the result of naturally small reserves, made such techniques effortless for her. Naruto watched her performance with newfound appreciation. Through his secret training with Kasumi, he'd begun to understand the subtleties of chakra manipulation that had once seemed like pure magic. Sakura's control was genuinely impressive, a different kind of talent than raw power. All right, everyone pair up for sparring practice, Iruka announced once the demonstrations concluded. Basic taijutsu only, no ninjutsu. Mizuki-sensei and I will observe and provide feedback. At the mention of Mizuki, Naruto's attention snapped to the white-haired Chunin who had entered the classroom silently during the clone demonstrations. Something about the assistant teacher had always set Naruto on edge, a feeling that had intensified since his Shinzokugen awakened. Kasumi had taught him to trust those instincts, the subconscious processing of micro-expressions and body language that his enhanced perception now registered. Naruto, you'll be working with Kiba today, Mizuki announced, a smile not quite reaching his eyes. And Sasuke with Shikamaru. Naruto frowned at the pairings. Normally, Iruka balanced skill levels, placing the top students with those who needed more help, putting him against Kiba, another physically strong but technically undisciplined student, broke that pattern. The class filed outside to the practice yard, a dusty expanse baking under the late morning sun. Students squared off in their assigned pairs, the dull thud of blunted kunai against wooden targets providing a steady backbeat to their movements. Ready to get your ass kicked, Uzumaki? Kiba grinned, canine teeth flashing beneath the red tribal markings on his cheeks. Akamaru yipped excitedly from atop his master's head. You wish, dog breath, Naruto shot back with a grin of his own. Falling into the familiar rhythm of their rivalry, they formed the seal of confrontation, then launched into their spar. Kiba attacked with his clan's characteristic ferocity, all forward momentum and explosive strikes designed to overwhelm. Months ago, such an assault would have flattened Naruto within seconds. Now, it was all Naruto could do to make his dodges look clumsy, his blocks awkward, duck a half-second slower, make the counter look sloppy. Stumble on the landing, he coached himself through each movement, fighting not just Kiba but his own honed reflexes. Kasumi had drilled fundamental taijutsu into him relentlessly, focusing on perfect form rather than flashy techniques. Sweat beaded on his forehead, as much from the mental strain of holding back as from physical exertion. The effort of dampening his reactions felt like trying to run underwater. What's the matter, Naruto? Kiba taunted, landing a glancing blow to Naruto's shoulder. Too slow. Naruto bit back the reflexive urge to respond with the series of strikes Kasumi had taught him. A devastating combination that would target the temporary openings in Kiba's wild attack pattern. Instead, he launched a telegraphed punch that Kiba easily sidestepped. Too predictable, Kiba laughed, sweeping Naruto's legs from under him. Naruto hit the dirt with a convincing oof, rolling away from Kiba's follow-up. As he scrambled to his feet, he caught Mizuki watching him intently from the edge of the practice yard, a calculating expression on the teacher's face. What's he looking for? Naruto wondered, narrowly avoiding another of Kiba's strikes. Across the yard, Sasuke dispatched Shikamaru with efficient grace, the Nara boy surrendering with a muttered troublesome after a token resistance. Rather than rejoining his admirers, however, Sasuke drifted toward Naruto and Kiba's match, dark eyes tracking Naruto's movements with unsettling focus. The intensity of that gaze broke Naruto's concentration for a crucial second. Kiba's fist connected solidly with his jaw, sending him sprawling into the dust. Pain bloomed bright and sharp, and for an instant, Naruto's vision flickered gold at the edges, his Shinzokugen responding instinctively to the threat. No! Naruto slammed his eyes shut, forcing the Kekkei Genkai dormant through sheer willpower. When he opened them again, the world had returned to normal colors, the golden overlay receding like a tide pulled back to sea. "Match, Kiba," Mizuki called, stepping forward. "Good aggression, though your guard dropped twice." "Naruto, your defense needs significant work." Naruto pushed himself up, spitting dust from his mouth. "Yes, Mizuki-sensei, you were holding back." Sasuke's voice came low and accusing from beside him. "Why?" Naruto jerked his head up, meeting Sasuke's suspicious glare. "What? No way. Kiba just got lucky. Don't insult my intelligence." Sasuke's words barely carried beyond the two of them. "Your movements are different. You telegraph one direction and correct mid-motion, like you're fighting your own reflexes." A chill skittered down Naruto's spine. He'd underestimated Sasuke's observational skills. "I've been practicing a little," Naruto deflected with a shrug. "Still figuring it out." Sasuke's eyes narrowed further. "With who?" "You're not this coordinated in any of Iruka's lessons." Before Naruto could fabricate a response, Mizuki clapped his hands. "Next round. Switch partners." Naruto with Sasuke, Kiba with Choji. Naruto's stomach dropped. Sparring with Kiba was one thing. The Inuzuka fought on instinct, not analysis. Sasuke, with his prodigy's eye for detail, would spot every inconsistency in Naruto's performance. Perfect, Mizuki thought, watching the boys form the seal of confrontation. The Uchiha's pride won't allow him to hold back. If the rumors about Uzumaki's hidden ability are true, this should force it out. The spar began with Sasuke launching a blindingly fast combination. Jab, cross, roundhouse kick. His movements fluid as water over stone. To maintain his facade, Naruto would need to take the hits or dodge clumsily. Instead, his body reacted on pure muscle memory. He weaved between the strikes with precision that belied months of secret training. His counter-strike stopping a hair's breadth from Sasuke's exposed ribs. Silence dropped over the practice yard like a stone in still water. Sasuke's eyes widened fractionally, the Uchiha equivalent of open-mouthed shock. Around them, students froze mid-motion, attention magnetized to the impossible scene. Dead last Naruto Uzumaki matching top student Sasuke Uchiha move for move. Lucky dodge, Naruto laughed nervously, deliberately stumbling backward to break the tableau. Too late. Sasuke's shock had already crystallized into cold calculation. Without warning, he launched another attack. Faster, sharper, no longer a training exercise but a genuine attempt to test Naruto's limits. This is bad, Naruto thought as he barely managed to make his evasions look clumsy while still avoiding Sasuke's increasingly aggressive strikes. Really bad. Enough. Iruka's voice cut through the tension. "Sasuke, this is a controlled exercise, not a full-contact match." Sasuke backed off, but his eyes never left Naruto's face. "Something's changed," he said, voice pitched for Naruto's ears alone. "And I'm going to figure out what it is." Before Naruto could respond, a commotion erupted from the other side of the practice yard. A training dummy, one of the heavy wooden ones used for weapons practice, was toppling forward, directly toward a group of girls practicing shuriken throws. At the center of the group stood Sakura, back turned to the falling hazard, completely unaware. "Sakura-chan, look out!" Naruto shouted. The dummy continued its inexorable fall, too far for anyone to reach in time. Time slowed to honey-thick crawl. "She'll be crushed," Naruto realized with sudden clarity. Without conscious decision, his Shinzokugen flared to life, the world bleeding into golden relief. He could see everything. The dummy's trajectory, Sakura's oblivious posture, the minute imbalance in the dummy's base that had caused its fall, and something else, a nearly invisible thread of chakra, stretched taut from the dummy's base to the tree line where Mizuki stood watching with clinical interest. It wasn't an accident. Naruto moved without thinking. In the golden-hued world of his enhanced perception, he covered the distance to Sakura in what felt like leisurely strides, though to outside observers he became an orange-yellow blur. Reaching her just as the dummy began its final descent, he pushed chakra into his arms and shoulders, forming an instinctive barrier, not the complete dome from the alley incident, but a focused shield of golden energy that materialized above them both. The dummy struck the barrier with a sound like a gong being struck underwater, splintering into fragments that rained harmlessly around them. Sakura stared up at the golden light flickering above her head, then at Naruto's glowing eyes. Spiral pattern with 3 concentric rings clearly visible against irises the color of sunlight through honey. And Naruto? She whispered, voice small with confusion. Around them, the practice yard had gone deathly silent. Every student, every teacher stared at the golden energy slowly dissipating around Naruto's form, at the destroyed training dummy, at the impossible scene unfolding before them. Are you okay, Sakura-chan? Naruto asked, the world still moving with dreamlike slowness in his enhanced perception. She nodded mutely, green eyes wide as saucers. Good. Naruto drew a deep breath and forced his Kekkei Genkai dormant once more, the golden light fading from his eyes. As the world resumed its normal pace, the full weight of what he'd done crashed down on him. The old man is going to kill me. Everyone inside. Now. Irika's voice cracked like a whip, brooking no argument. Except you, Naruto. You stay right where you are. Students filed back toward the academy building in shocked silence, stealing glances over their shoulders. Sasuke lingered longest, his expression unreadable, before Irika physically shepherded him through the door. When only Naruto, Irika, and Mizuki remained in the practice yard, the scarred teacher rounded on his assistant. Mizuki, fetch the Hokage. Immediately. But the students, Mizuki began, his expression masterfully concerned despite the calculation in his eyes. I'll handle the class, Irika cut him off. Go. Once Mizuki had departed, Irika turned to Naruto, his face a storm of conflicting emotions. Sit, he commanded, pointing to a nearby bench. Naruto complied, shoulders hunched in anticipation of the coming lecture. To his surprise, Irika simply sat beside him, saying nothing for several long moments. It wasn't an accident, Naruto finally ventured. The dummy. I saw chakra threads attached to its base. Irika's head snapped toward him. You're sure? Naruto nodded miserably. When my eyes change I can see chakra. All of it, everywhere. The thread led back to where Mizuki-sensei was standing. A muscle ticked in Irika's jaw. That's a serious accusation, Naruto. I know what I saw, Naruto insisted, then sighed. I wasn't supposed to use it. The old man made me promise. Use what, exactly? Irika's voice gentled slightly. What happened to your eyes? Naruto hesitated, but the secret was already thoroughly blown. It's called the Shinzo-kugen. A Kekkei Genkai that was supposed to be extinct. It woke up inside me a few weeks ago, and I'd been training to control it in secret. The divine ancestry eye. Irika translated, his scholastic mind automatically processing the name. I've never heard of such a bloodline limit. That's kind of the point, Naruto said glumly. It was supposed to stay secret until I could control it properly. A commotion at the academy entrance interrupted them. The third Hokage strode across the practice yard, his ceremonial robes fluttering with the speed of his approach. Behind him came Mizuki, his expression carefully neutral. Irika, take your class to the library, Hiruzen commanded, his aged face grave. I need to speak with Naruto privately. Lord Hokage. Irika stood respectfully but didn't move toward the building. I believe there may be more to this situation than appears. Naruto has made concerning allegations about how the training dummy came to fall. Hiruzen's sharp gaze shifted to Mizuki, who maintained a perfect mask of confusion. Indeed? Perhaps you should join our discussion then, Irika. He turned to the white-haired Chunin. Mizuki, please oversee the class in Irika's absence. Of course, Lord Hokage. Mizuki bowed and retreated to the academy building, his posture betraying nothing of his inner thoughts. Once he was gone, Hiruzen fixed Naruto with a penetrating stare. I thought we had an agreement about using your abilities in public. Sakura-chan was going to get hurt, Naruto protested, rising to his feet. And it wasn't an accident. I saw chakra threads manipulating the dummy's base. Someone wanted me to expose myself. A serious accusation, Hiruzen echoed Irika's earlier sentiment. But one that aligns with certain suspicions I've harbored. He sighed heavily. Regardless, the damage is done. How many students witnessed your abilities? The entire class, Irika answered grimly. 27 students from various clans, including the Uchiha, Hyuga, Yamanaka, Nara, Akimichi, and Aburane heirs. The Hokage closed his eyes briefly, the weight of this complication settling visibly on his shoulders. This complicates matters significantly. I'm sorry, old man, Naruto said, genuine remorse in his voice. I couldn't let Sakura get hurt. No, Hiruzen agreed, his expression softening slightly. You couldn't. That protective instinct speaks well of you, Naruto. He straightened, decision made. Iruka, gather the students who witnessed the incident. I'll need to address them directly. 15 minutes later, Naruto stood uncomfortably beside the Hokage as the third-year academy students filed solemnly back into the practice yard, their eyes fixed on him with varying degrees of curiosity, suspicion, and, in the case of Sakura, something like wonder. You have all witnessed something extraordinary today, Hiruzen began, his voice carrying the authority of his office. An awakened bloodline limit that has not been seen in the shinobi world for generations. Under normal circumstances, such information would be classified as an S-rank village secret. Murmurs rippled through the assembled students. Sasuke's gaze burned into Naruto with laser-like intensity. However, the Hokage continued, circumstances being what they are, I am instead imposing a B-rank secrecy mandate. You may discuss what you've seen among yourselves, but not with anyone outside this group. Not your parents, not your siblings, not your friends in other classes. Anyone violating this directive will face serious consequences, regardless of clan status or age. Is that understood? Yes, Lord Hokage. The students chorused, suitably impressed by the gravity of the situation. Good. Iruka-sensei will resume your lessons. Naruto will be joining you shortly. He placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. We need to have a private word first. As the students filed back toward the academy building, Sakura lingered, green eyes finding Naruto's blue ones. Thank you, she said simply, tucking a strand of pink hair behind her ear. The sincerity in her voice was a far cry from her usual dismissive attitude toward him. Naruto managed a smile that felt more genuine than any he'd worn in weeks. Anytime, Sakura-chan. Once they were alone again, the Hokage turned to him with a mixture of exasperation and resignation. Well, this certainly accelerates our timeline. Your training will need to intensify immediately. Am I in trouble? Naruto asked, kicking at the dirt. For saving a classmate? No. Hiruzen's voice softened. For revealing a classified ability? Technically, yes, but the circumstances are mitigating. His expression grew more serious. However, we must address the matter of Mizuki. If your perception is accurate, and I have no reason to doubt it, then we have a serious security breach. He tried to make me reveal myself, Naruto said, certainty hardening in his voice. The way he paired us for sparring, putting me against Sasuke, he was looking for something specific. Indeed. The Hokage stroked his beard thoughtfully. Which raises the question, who is he working for, and how did they learn of your Kekkei Genkai? Before Naruto could respond, a strange sensation washed over him. A metallic taste at the back of his throat, accompanied by a prickling awareness that raised the hair on his arms. He'd experienced this before during training with Kasumi, when she'd explained chakra signatures and how to recognize them. Someone's watching us, he blurted, turning toward the academy building. I can taste their chakra. It's cold, like metal left out in winter. Hiruzen's eyebrows rose. You can sense chakra signatures already? Kasumi didn't mention that development. It's new, Naruto admitted. Started a few days ago. Different types of chakra taste different. Yours is like pipe tobacco and old books. He wrinkled his nose. This one tastes wrong somehow. The Hokage's expression sharpened. Describe it more precisely. Cold metal, but also ink? Like calligraphy ink, but alive somehow. Naruto's face scrunched in concentration. And it's not just watching. It's listening. Focus completely on us. Root, Hiruzen murmured, his voice hardening. Danzo's operatives used specialized ink-based jutsu for surveillance. He performed a brief sequence of hand signs, and an ANBU with a bear mask materialized beside them. Sweep the academy grounds for unauthorized surveillance. Priority on ink-based jutsu. Full containment protocol. The ANBU vanished without a word. Hiruzen turned back to Naruto, his expression grave. It seems your secret has attracted more attention than we anticipated. This sensory ability, being able to taste chakra signatures, Is that another aspect of your Kekkei Genkai? Naruto nodded. Kasumi-sensei says the Shinzo Kugam lets me process chakra information through multiple senses. Most people just see or feel chakra. I can taste it, smell it sometimes, even hear it if I concentrate hard enough. Fascinating, the Hokage murmured. And potentially invaluable for detection and counterintelligence. He straightened, decision made. Return to class for now. I'll arrange for Kakashi to escort you to training this afternoon. And Naruto. His voice softened again. You did the right thing, protecting your classmate. Never be ashamed of that, even if it complicates our plans. Relief washed through Naruto. Thanks, old man. He hesitated, then added, what about Mizuki-sensei? Leave him to me, Hiruzen said, steel threading through his gentle voice. If he is indeed compromised, we'll need to handle the situation delicately. Naruto nodded and turned toward the academy building, where his classmates waited with 1,000 unasked questions burning in their eyes. As he walked, he couldn't help wondering if life would ever be simple again. Behind him, the Hokage watched his retreating back with troubled eyes, calculating the ripple effects of this revelation, and the new pieces moved onto the board in this most dangerous of games. In the dim light of his underground chamber, Danzo Shimura received the report from his root operative with cold fury simmering beneath his impassive exterior. So the boy revealed himself publicly, he stated, tapping his cane against the stone floor. And Mizuki's involvement was detected. Yes, Lord Danzo. The masked operative knelt before him, head bowed. The Uzumaki boy demonstrated enhanced speed, protective barrier generation, and visual capabilities consistent with an advanced dojutsu. He also appears to have developed sensory abilities capable of detecting our surveillance techniques. Danzo absorbed this information with calculating precision. And Mizuki? Compromised. The Hokage suspects his involvement. Extraction is recommended before interrogation can begin. Too late. Hiruzen will have already placed him under observation. Danzo rose from his seat, moving to the narrow window that provided his only glimpse of the village above. Mizuki was always expendable, a test of the boy's capabilities and Hiruzen's security measures. Both have proven more formidable than anticipated. Your orders, Lord Danzo? Pull back all direct surveillance for now. The boy's sensory abilities make conventional methods too risky. His eye narrowed, focusing on the distant Hokage tower. Instead, focus on his classmates. The Hokage may have sworn them to secrecy, but children are notoriously poor at keeping secrets. Monitor their communications, their training sessions, their private conversations. The operative bowed lower. And the extraction contingency remains in place, but deferred. Danzo's fingers tightened on his cane. The situation has become more complex. The boy's public display means Hiruzen will increase his protection. Moreover, the other clans are now aware of his significance. A setback, Lord Danzo? A complication. Danzo turned from the window, his expression thoughtful, but potentially useful. Hiruzen now faces pressure from multiple directions. Clans curious about this new Kekkei Genkai. Foreign intelligence that will inevitably catch wind of the incident. His own council members who will demand answers. A cold smile touched his lips. When pulled in too many directions, even the great tree of Konoha can be uprooted. As the operative departed, Danzo returned to his desk, where a scroll lay open. Ancient text describing fragmentary accounts of the powers once wielded by those with eyes that could see the truth of all creation. The Shinzokugen, he murmured. What Hiruzen sees as a child's burden, I recognize as Konoha's future salvation. His finger traced over a particular passage. And when the divine eye opens fully, neither space nor time shall remain fixed, for the wielder gains dominion over the very fabric of reality itself. Outside, the afternoon sun beat down on Konoha's streets, unaware of the shadows gathering beneath them. Shadows with plans and ambitions that would reshape the future of the shinobi world, with a golden-eyed boy at their center. Back in the academy classroom, Naruto slumped into his seat, acutely aware of the stares fixed on him from every direction. Questions hovered in the air like Kenai poised to strike, held back only by Iruka's stern warning against disrupting the lesson. As Iruka droned on about chakra theory, ironically, a subject Naruto now understood better than anyone else in the room, a folded note landed on his desk. Glancing up, he caught Sasuke's knowing gaze before the Uchiha heir turned his attention back to the front of the classroom. Naruto unfolded the note carefully. Training Ground 7. Sunset. Come alone. I want answers. He glanced at Sasuke's rigid back, then at Sakura, who offered him a small, confused smile before quickly looking away. Around him, his classmates stole glances when they thought he wouldn't notice, their expressions ranging from awe to suspicion. Something fundamental had shifted. The lonely boy, desperate for any kind of attention, now found himself at the center of more scrutiny than he'd ever wanted. The mask he'd worn, the prankster, the fool, the dead last, had cracked beyond repair, revealing glimpses of something ancient and powerful beneath. Naruto Uzumaki, container of the nine-tailed fox, wielder of the Shinzokugen, heir to powers thought lost to time, stared down at his textbook and wondered what tomorrow would bring. One thing was certain. Life would never be the same again. Sunlight knifed through the academy windows, cutting gold rectangles across the classroom floor where 27 newly graduated genin buzzed with anticipation. The air crackled with possibility, with futures waiting to unfold. Headbands gleamed on foreheads, waists, arms, each placement a declaration of identity, of how these children-turned soldiers saw themselves in the world they were about to enter. Naruto fidgeted at his desk, the metal of his headband still unfamiliar against his skin. He'd earned it under unusual circumstances, foiling Mizuki's attempt to steal the forbidden scroll. But the weight of it felt right, felt earned. His fingers drummed a nervous tattoo against the scarred desktop. Team assignments. The moment that would shape the next chapter of his life. Settle down, everyone. Irika's voice cut through the chatter, silencing the room with practiced authority. The Chunin's eyes softened as he surveyed the graduates. Today you take your first steps as true shinobi of Konoha. The teams I'm about to announce have been carefully selected to balance strengths and compensate for weaknesses. Naruto's gaze drifted to Sakura, who sat 2 rows ahead, pink hair falling like cherry blossoms against the red of her dress. Since the incident with the training dummy, she'd been different toward him. Not quite friendly, but no longer dismissive. Her green eyes occasionally sought his with curious glances, as if trying to reconcile the class clown with the boy who had summoned golden light from his eyes. Team 7, Irika announced, drawing Naruto's attention back to the front. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto straightened, heart hammering against his ribs. Sakura Harino. Yes. The triumphant shout escaped before Naruto could stop it. Sakura turned, her expression a complicated mixture of resignation and something less easily defined. And Sasuke Uchiha. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees as Sasuke's dark eyes locked onto Naruto's. The Uchiha's face betrayed nothing, but intensity radiated from him like heat from summer pavement. Their sunset meeting at Training Ground 7 had never happened. Kakashi had intercepted Naruto before he could go, but the challenge remained, hovering between them like an unsheathed blade. Your Jonin instructor will be Kakashi Hatake. A jolt of surprise shot through Naruto. Kakashi? The silver-haired Jonin who had witnessed his training beneath the Hokage monument? Who knew about his Shinzokugen? This couldn't be coincidence. As Irika continued through the team assignments, whispers slithered around the classroom, a symphony of speculation. Did you hear? They put the dead last with the Rookie of the Year. It's always about balance. But what about that thing with Naruto's eyes? Shh! We're not supposed to talk about that. Across the room, Ino Yamanaka caught Naruto's gaze and mimicked a dramatic eye-rolling gesture, clearly disgusted that Sakura would be on Sasuke's team. But beneath the theatrical display, curiosity glimmered in her pale blue eyes. The same curiosity that had infected every student who had witnessed his accidental revelation. When Irika finished the assignments, he dismissed them for lunch, instructing them to return to meet their Jonin instructors afterward. The classroom emptied like a dam breaking, students flowing toward freedom, toward their futures. Naruto approached Sakura, who stood gathering her things. Want to have lunch together? As teammates? He grinned, hope blazing bright and familiar in his chest. Before she could answer, Sasuke materialized beside them, a shadow given form and purpose. We need to talk, he said, voice pitched low for their ears alone. All 3 of us. Sakura's eyes widened. Sasuke-kun wants to have lunch with us? Not lunch, Sasuke corrected, midnight eyes never leaving Naruto's face. A discussion about expectations. The weight behind those words hung heavy in the air. It wasn't just about team dynamics. It was about secrets, about power, about the golden light that had erupted from Naruto's eyes. Fine, Naruto agreed, squaring his shoulders. The roof. Private enough for you? Something like respect flickered across Sasuke's face. Acceptable. The academy rooftop baked under the midday sun, heat radiating from concrete in shimmering waves. 3 newly minted genins sat in an uneasy triangle, convenience store bentos balanced on their laps. Below them, Konohas sprawled in all directions, a tapestry of red roofs and green trees, of lives intertwined by choice and circumstance. Let's not pretend, Sasuke said, breaking the silence that had stretched between them since they'd arrived. We all know why we've been placed on the same team. His chopsticks stabbed a piece of tomato with unnecessary force. The Hokage wants us together because of what happened in the training yard. Sakura glanced between her teammates, rice halfway to her mouth. What do you mean? He means my eyes, Naruto said quietly. The admission felt strange on his tongue. After weeks of secrecy, speaking openly about his Kekkei Genkai seemed almost sacrilegious. The Shinzokugen. That golden light, Sakura murmured, setting down her bento. When you saved me from the training dummy. What exactly is it? Naruto hesitated, weighing his answer. How much could he say? How much should he say? The Hokage's directive echoed in his mind. Limited disclosure. Only to those who need to know. It's a Kekkei Genkai, he finally said. A really rare one that hasn't been seen for generations. It lets me see chakra and other things. Like what? Sasuke pressed, setting aside his own lunch. Hunger for knowledge burned in his eyes, far sharper than any appetite for food. Naruto shrugged, uncomfortable under that intense scrutiny. Like the way chakra moves before someone attacks. Or how it flows through objects. I can see all 5 chakra natures at once. Better than the Byakugan? Sakura asked, analytical mind immediately seeking comparisons. Different, Naruto corrected. More fundamental. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. And the Hokage has known about this. For how long? A couple months. The admission came reluctantly. I've been training to control it in secret. With Kakashi, Sasuke deduced, the pieces falling into place. That's why he's our Jonin instructor. He already knows. Naruto nodded, surprised by the Uchiha's perceptiveness. Yeah. Him and a special Jonin named Kasumi. She's an expert on on the kind of chakra my eyes use. And the barrier you created? Sakura leaned forward, scientific curiosity overriding her usual bashfulness. Was that part of the dojutsu too? Sort of. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. The eyes let me see how to do it. The power comes from inside me. Sasuke's face darkened. From the 9 tails. A chill skittered down Naruto's spine despite the heat. You know about that? My father mentioned it before. Sasuke cut himself off, pain flashing across his features before the mask of indifference slammed back into place. Before the massacre. Not directly, but enough to piece together. Silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken words. The gulf of shared traumas, different but equally profound, yawned wide, yet somehow formed a bridge as well. Outsiders, all of them, for different reasons. No, Naruto finally said. Not from the fox. That's what's weird. When I use the Shinzokugen, the 9 tails goes quiet. Like it's I don't know, respecting it or something. Sasuke's eyebrows rose fractionally, the Uchiha equivalent of open-mouthed shock. Before he could respond, the stairwell door creaked open, revealing a silver-haired Jonin with a mask covering the lower half of his face and his headband slanted over one eye. Well, Kakashi drawled, visible eye crinkling in what might have been a smile. At least I don't have to worry about you 3 getting along. Already sharing secrets on the rooftop. How touching. Sakura jumped to her feet, bento tumbling forgotten to the concrete. You're late. We've been waiting for hours. Am I? Kakashi made a show of looking at the sun's position. I was detained by an elderly woman who needed help crossing 17 consecutive streets. Naruto bit back a laugh. Even Sasuke's lips twitched imperceptibly. Now then, Kakashi continued, leaning against the railing with practiced nonchalance. Let's get formalities out of the way. I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like, things I dislike I don't feel like telling you. Dreams for the future, never really thought about it. Hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. That was completely useless, Sakura muttered. All we learned was his name. Your turn, Kakashi pointed at Sakura. Pink hair goes first. Sakura straightened, suddenly self-conscious. I'm Sakura Haruno. She glanced at Sasuke, cheeks coloring, reading and learning new jutsu. I dislike people who look down on kunoichi. My hobby is memorizing complex texts. And my dream, another glance at Sasuke, this one accompanied by a deeper blush. Riveting, Kakashi deadpanned. Booty McBurdison, you're up. Sasuke didn't rise to the bait. Sasuke Uchiha. I don't particularly like anything. I dislike many things. Hobby, training. Dream? No, an ambition. To restore my clan and kill a certain someone. The temperature on the rooftops seemed to drop 10 degrees despite the blazing sun. Sakura stared at Sasuke with a mixture of concern and adoration. Naruto shifted uncomfortably, the weight of Sasuke's darkness pressing against his own experiences of isolation. And finally, our surprise package, Kakashi nodded toward Naruto. Though I suspect we all know more about you than expected. Naruto took a deep breath. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, especially when Irika-sensei treats me at Ichiraku. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes to cook instant ramen. My hobby is comparing different kinds of ramen. And my dream is to become Hokage and have everyone in the village recognize me. The familiarity of the words felt both comforting and strange. The surface-level Naruto, the mask he'd worn for so long. Yet it wasn't a lie. Those simple pleasures, that driving ambition, were still part of him, despite everything that had changed. Anything else you'd like to share with the class? Kakashi prompted, his casual tone belied by the sharpness in his visible eye. Naruto hesitated, then nodded. I have a Kekkei Genkai called the Shinzokugen. I'm still learning to control it. And he glanced at his teammates. I want to be someone my friends can count on, no matter what. Something soft flickered across Kakashi's expression, gone so quickly it might have been imagined. Well, now that we've bared our souls, let's get to the real test. Real test? Sakura's brow furrowed. But we already passed the graduation exam. Kakashi's eye curved into a crescent moon. That was just to select candidates worthy of becoming genin. The actual test has a 66% failure rate. Those who fail get sent back to the academy. Horror dawned on 3 young faces simultaneously. Meet at Training Ground 3 tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Oh, and don't eat breakfast. Kakashi pushed away from the railing. You'll throw up. With that cheerful prediction, he vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving 3 stunned genin in his wake. He's joking, right? Sakura looked between her teammates, seeking reassurance either could provide. Sasuke rose, dusting off his white shorts. Whether he is or not, I won't be going back to the academy. His eyes fixed on Naruto with laser-like intensity, and I expect a proper demonstration of those eyes tomorrow. No more holding back. The words hung in the air like a gauntlet thrown down. Without waiting for a response, Sasuke turned and strode toward the stairwell, shoulders set with characteristic determination. Sakura watched him go, then turned to Naruto. Is it really that powerful? Your Kekkei Genkai? Naruto stared at his hands, remembering the golden light that had flowed from them. I don't know yet. Every time I use it, I discover something new. He looked up, meeting her curious green eyes. But I promise I'll use it to protect our team. That's what matters most. Something shifted in Sakura's expression, a softening, a reevaluation. You've changed, Naruto. It's not bad. She gathered her things and stood. I'll see you tomorrow. 5 a.m., don't be late. Left alone on the sun-baked rooftop, Naruto gazed out over the village, his village. His hand drifted to his headband, fingers tracing the leaf symbol etched into metal. So much had changed, but his core dream remained unaltered, to be acknowledged, to be valued, to protect what mattered. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new revelations. But for the first time, he wouldn't face them alone. Dawn hung suspended over Training Ground 3, the world rendered in shades of pearl and silver. Dew clung to grass blades like scattered diamonds, trembling in the gentle breath of morning. 3 genin waited beside 3 wooden posts that thrust from the earth like accusing fingers, their stomachs growling in chorus. He's late. Again, Sakura groaned, arms wrapped around her middle as if to quiet the rumbling within. Naruto paced in tight circles, restless energy finding no outlet. Maybe he got lost on the path of life, he muttered, echoing the excuse Kakashi had offered when he'd finally shown up to collect them from the academy yesterday afternoon. Sasuke leaned against the center post, outwardly composed but betrayed by the occasional glance toward the tree line. His fingers traced the edge of his kunai pouch, an unconscious gesture revealing inner tension. The sun had climbed 3 finger-widths above the horizon when Kakashi finally materialized in a casual stroll from the forest edge. "Good morning, my cute little genin. Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way around." "Liar!" Naruto and Sakura shouted in unison, the synchronized accusation hanging in the morning air. Even Sasuke's eye twitched in annoyance. Kakashi merely smiled beneath his mask, utterly unrepentant. He reached into his pocket and withdrew 2 small bells attached to red strings, jingling them enticingly. "Your test is simple. Take these bells from me before noon. Whoever doesn't get a bell fails and returns to the academy." "But there are only 2 bells," Sakura pointed out, forehead creasing in confusion. Very observant, Kakashi praised with exaggerated enthusiasm. "At least one of you can count." "Yes, only 2 will pass. Or maybe none of you will." His visible eye surveyed them with lazy assessment. "Come at me with intent to kill, or you won't stand a chance." "But that's dangerous," Sakura protested. Kakashi chuckled, the sound devoid of humor. "Says the girl whose teammate can create barrier jutsu with his eyes." He tied the bells to his waist with deliberate care. "Don't worry about me. Worry about yourselves." He pulled out a familiar orange book, flipping it open with practiced ease. "Begin whenever you're ready." For a heartbeat, none of them moved. Then Sasuke vanished into the tree line, a shadow among shadows. Sakura hesitated, then followed, melting into the underbrush with surprising stealth. Naruto remained, feet planted firmly, blue eyes locked on Kakashi. "I'm not hiding." "No?" Kakashi didn't look up from his book. "Bold strategy. You already know what I can do," Naruto pointed out. "And you're the one who's been helping train me. So what's the point of this test, really?" Kakashi's eye flicked up, momentarily sharp with interest. "Perhaps the question isn't what I know about you, but what you know about yourself. And your teammates." He turned a page with exaggerated casualness. "Show me." The challenge ignited something in Naruto's chest, a fire that had nothing to do with the 9 tails and everything to do with proving himself. He formed a familiar cross-shaped seal, chakra surging through his system like a flash flood. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen Narutos exploded into existence, surrounding Kakashi in a ring of orange and blue. They charged as one, a wave of identical determination crashing toward the seemingly unconcerned Jonin. What followed was a masterclass in humiliation. Kakashi didn't even pocket his book as he dismantled the clones with effortless efficiency. A kick here, an elbow there, using one Naruto to bat away 3 others. His movements flowed like water, each action setting up the next in a continuous sequence that left no opening, no vulnerability. The real Naruto watched from the back of the formation, frustration building as his clones popped out of existence one after another. Kakashi was toying with him, making a point. But what point? From the tree line, Sasuke observed with calculating intensity, cataloging every movement of the Jonin's fishing takedown. Nearby, hidden behind a broad-leafed shrub, Sakura's analytical mind raced to make sense of the one-sided battle unfolding before them. As the last clone dissipated in a puff of smoke, Kakashi finally looked up from his book. "That the best you've got?" "I expected more from the wielder of the Shinzokugen." The taunt struck its mark. Naruto's hands clenched at his sides, frustration crystallizing into determination. "You want to see it? Fine." He closed his eyes, drawing deep within himself to where the golden power slumbered. Unlike the chaotic, burning chakra of the 9 tails, the Shinzokugen's energy flowed cool and precise, like liquid sunlight through his veins. When his eyes snapped open, the world had transformed into a tapestry of golden light and visible energy currents. Kakashi's form resolved into a complex network of blue-white chakra pathways, flowing with controlled precision. The book in his hand glowed faintly with residual energy from years of being handled by chakra-infused fingers. Even the bells at his waist shimmered slightly, connected to thin threads of chakra that extended to Kakashi's awareness. Interesting, Kakashi murmured, closing his book and tucking it away. His visible eye assessed Naruto with new seriousness. What do you see? Everything, Naruto breathed, the world brilliant and alive around him. Your chakra network, the trap seals you've placed around the clearing, the way your attention is split between me and the others. He pointed to a spot 20 feet away. Sasuke is there, chakra coiled tight like a spring. And Sakura, he turned slightly, is over there, her chakra signature pulsing with each heartbeat. In their hiding spots, both teammates stiffened in surprise. And the bells? Kakashi prompted, subtly shifting his stance. Naruto's golden eyes narrowed. Connected to your chakra network. If someone tries to take them, you'll know instantly. A grin spread across his face. But I can see exactly where those connections are weakest. Without warning, he charged forward, movements guided by the golden-hued perception of his Kekkei Genkai. Kakashi's defenses seemed to telegraph themselves seconds before he moved. Pathways lighting up with intent before muscles even began to contract. For the first time, Naruto found himself keeping pace with the Jonin, not matching his skill or experience, but anticipating his movements just enough to extend each exchange by precious seconds. From the treeline, Sasuke watched with growing intensity, his Sharingan-less eyes straining to follow the increasingly complex exchange. Beside him, having silently relocated during the fight, Sakura observed with equal fascination. It's like he can see what Kakashi-sensei is going to do before he does it, she whispered. Sasuke nodded, a muscle ticking in his jaw. Predictive perception. Like the Sharingan, but different. The fight escalated as Kakashi recognized that simple evasion wouldn't be enough. His hands blurred through science, and a wall of earth erupted between him and Naruto. But the golden-eyed boy didn't hesitate. He saw the structure of the jutsu, the way the chakra bound the elements together, and more importantly, the weak point where the binding was thinnest. His fist struck precisely at that junction, and the earthen wall crumbled like dry clay. Kakashi's visible eye widened fractionally. Genuine surprise. You shouldn't be able to do that, he murmured, just loud enough for Naruto to hear. Not at your current stage. Maybe I'm a fast learner, Naruto shot back, pressing his advantage. The exchange intensified, Kakashi now moving with genuine effort, forced to respond to a genin who could see his intentions forming before they manifested. Yet despite the unexpected challenge, the Jonin remained firmly in control, steering the confrontation with veteran precision. This isn't working, Naruto realized as another attempted grab for the bells fell short. He's still holding back, still testing me. Testing us. The realization struck like lightning. Us. This isn't about me against Kakashi. It's about... He broke away suddenly, golden eyes scanning the treeline. Sasuke. Sakura. We need to work together. Kakashi's eyebrow rose. Interesting conclusion. But why would they help you when only two can pass? Because that's not the real test, Naruto declared, certainty blooming within him. The golden vision of his Shinzokugan revealed connections everywhere. Between trees and soil, between sky and earth, between the three genin whose chakra signatures pulsed with similar frequencies. No jonin instructs just one or two genin. It's always teams of three. The bells are a trick to divide us. Silence hung in the clearing for one heartbeat, then two. Then Sasuke emerged from the treeline, kunai in hand. You're sure about this? He called, skepticism warring with consideration in his voice. Positive. Naruto nodded. My eyes don't just see chakra. They see connections, patterns. The real test is about teamwork. Sakura stepped from the underbrush, analytical mind processing this new theory. That actually makes sense. Why else would the Hokage put us together specifically? If only two would continue. Kakashi observed this exchange with unreadable composure. Big claims from someone who hasn't even gotten close to a bell. Perhaps your teammates would rather take their chances individually? Sasuke stepped forward, dark eyes fixed on Naruto's golden ones. What's your plan? Relief flooded through Naruto. Despite their differences, despite the rivalry that simmered between them, Sasuke was willing to listen. I can see his movements before he makes them. But I'm not fast enough to counter alone. Sasuke, you have the speed and precision. Sakura, you have the perfect chakra control. Together, we might have a chance. Or you could be wrong, and only two of you will continue as genin, Kakashi pointed out mildly. Then I'll be the one to go back, Naruto declared without hesitation. If that's what it takes. Something flickered across Kakashi's face. A ghost of emotion quickly suppressed. Sasuke and Sakura exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. What do you need us to do? Sakura asked, stepping fully into the clearing. The next 3 minutes unfolded in a blur of coordinated movement. Guided by Naruto's Shinzokugan enhanced perception, Sasuke and Sakura executed a series of perfectly timed maneuvers. Sakura using precise chakra control to disrupt the ground beneath Kakashi's feet, while Sasuke launched combination attacks from constantly shifting angles. Naruto's clones provided distraction and occasional support, their movements no longer chaotic but orchestrated with purpose. Kakashi found himself genuinely pressed, forced to engage with increasing seriousness as the three genin operated with unexpected synchronicity. When the opening finally came, a half-second gap in Kakashi's defense as he countered Sasuke's fire jutsu. Naruto saw it with crystal clarity. Now! He shouted. 3 hands converged on the bells simultaneously, not trying to claim one each, but working together to separate them from Kakashi's waist. The jingling sound of success rang out across the clearing as the 3 genin tumbled backward, bells clutched between them. Silence fell, broken only by their heavy breathing. Kakashi straightened, brushing dust from his flak jacket with deliberate calm. Well, he said finally, this is unexpected. Did we pass? Sakura asked, still catching her breath. You tell me. Kakashi folded his arms. There are 2 bells and 3 of you. Who goes back to the academy? The 3 genin exchanged glances. Then, without hesitation, Naruto held out his portion of their prize. I will. It was my idea to work together, so if someone has to fail, it should be me. No, Sasuke countered, surprising everyone. Your eyes were crucial to our success. Logically, you should continue. We all did it together, Sakura insisted. None of us could have succeeded alone. A slow smile spread beneath Kakashi's mask, visible only in the crinkling of his exposed eye. Precisely the point. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. He straightened, suddenly every inch the elite jonin. Congratulations. Team 7 passes. Relief crashed over them like a wave, momentarily washing away their exhaustion. Naruto's Shinzokugan faded, the golden perception receding as the normal world reasserted itself. He swayed slightly, the chakra drain suddenly catching up to him. Whoa there. Kakashi steadied him with a firm hand on his shoulder. Maintaining that level of activation for so long isn't without consequences. You'll need to build up your stamina. Worth it, Naruto managed, grinning despite his fatigue. Kakashi turned to Sasuke and Sakura, his expression growing serious. What you witnessed today remains classified. Naruto's Kekkei Genkai is not common knowledge outside this village, and even within Konoha, few understand its significance. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. And what is its significance, exactly? That, Kakashi said carefully, is a conversation for another time. For now, know that helping Naruto master this ability will be an unofficial mission parameter for Team 7. He looked each of them in the eye. His control is still developing, and there may be incidents. Your discretion and support will be essential, like what happened in the academy, Sakura surmised. When he saved me, Kakashi nodded. Precisely. The Shinzokugan responds to emotional triggers, danger, stress, the need to protect. Until Naruto achieves complete mastery, these responses may be unpredictable. I won't be a liability, Naruto insisted, straightening despite his fatigue. I'm getting better at controlling it. You're progressing remarkably well, Kakashi agreed. But there's more to this Kekkei Genkai than you've yet discovered. He glanced at the position of the sun, now high overhead. That's enough for today. Meet here tomorrow at 8 a.m. for your first official mission. You mean 10 a.m., considering your punctuality, Sasuke muttered, just loud enough to be heard. Kakashi's eye crinkled in amusement. Ma, such disrespect already. Perhaps some team-building exercises are in order. The collective groan from 3 exhausted genin only widened his hidden smile. As Team 7 dispersed from the training ground, Sasuke fell into step beside Naruto, their paths overlapping for several blocks before diverging toward their respective homes. "Your eyes," Sasuke began without preamble, voice pitched low despite the empty street. "They let you see chakra pathways like the Byakugan, predict movements like the Sharingan, and disrupt jutsu like nothing I've ever seen." "What exactly are they?" Naruto hesitated, weighing his answer carefully. The Hokage's warning about limited disclosure warred with the instinctive trust he felt toward his new teammate, despite their complicated relationship. "The Shinzokugan is old," he finally said. "Older than the hidden villages, older than maybe even the Sage of Six Paths. It sees chakra in its most basic form, before it's shaped into jutsu or elements. That's why I could find the weak point in Kakashi-sensei's earth wall." Sasuke digested this, face unreadable. "And no one else in the village has this bloodline? Not that I know of. The old man says it was thought extinct until it appeared in me." Naruto kicked a stone, watching it skitter across the dusty street. "I don't even know where it came from. Maybe my parents, but no one will tell me who they were." Something complicated flickered across Sasuke's face, a grimace that might have been sympathy, quickly suppressed. "Your control has improved since the academy incident." The observation caught Naruto off guard. Was Sasuke complimenting him? "Yeah, I've been training every day with Kasumi-sensei. It's exhausting, but worth it." They walked in silence for several more blocks before reaching the intersection where their paths diverged. Sasuke toward the abandoned Uchiha compound, Naruto toward his cramped apartment. "Tomorrow," Sasuke said suddenly, pausing at the crossroads. "After the mission, show me what else you can do with those eyes." It wasn't quite a request, nor entirely a demand. Something balanced precariously between the two. Naruto recognized it for what it was, an olive branch, extended from the only person in Konoha who might understand what it meant to carry the weight of an extraordinary bloodline limit. "Only if you show me some of those fire jutsu," Naruto countered with a grin. "Deal?" Sasuke's response was barely perceptible. A slight nod, a fleeting almost smile, before he turned and continued toward the empty houses that waited for him. Naruto watched him go, realizing that something fundamental had shifted between them. Not friendship, not yet, but a foundation upon which it might someday be built. As he turned toward his own home, Naruto missed the black-clad figure observing from a nearby rooftop, Sharingan eyes tracking his movement with calculating interest before melting into the shadows. "Orochimaru knows." The words hung in the Hokage's office like smoke, heavy and acrid. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked up from the mission report he'd been reviewing, aged features settling into grim lines. "How much?" he asked, setting aside his pipe. Jiraiya stepped fully into the light, the journey dust still clinging to his red-trimmed cloak. "Enough to be dangerous. My network intercepted communication between his agents. They're calling it the Golden Dojutsu and the Divine Eye. Not the exact name, but close enough." Hiruzen closed his eyes briefly, the weight of this new complication settling on shoulders already burdened with too many responsibilities. And the source of the leak? Unclear. Could be the Academy incident, could be someone in ANBU, could be old records he accessed before his defection. Jiraiya moved to the window, gazing out at the village bathed in late afternoon sun. What matters is that he knows, and he's interested. "Danzo's surveillance has increased as well," Hiruzen noted, stroking his beard. "Root operatives have been more active near young Naruto's apartment, two predators circling the same prey." Jiraiya's voice hardened. "We need to accelerate his training, formalize protection protocols." The Hokage nodded slowly. "Kakashi reports that Team 7 passed his assessment today." Naruto maintained Shinzokugan activation for nearly 15 minutes, with unprecedented control for his current development stage. "And the Nine Tails? Any interaction between the two powers?" None reported. "The beasts remain surprisingly dormant when the Kekkei Genkai is active." Hiruzen rose, moving to join his former student at the window. "It's as if the two chakras recognize some ancient hierarchy." Jiraiya's eyes narrowed. "That aligns with what the Toad Elders told me. According to their oldest records, the primordial chakra users predated even the first Jinchuriki. Some legends suggest the tailed beasts themselves recognized and respected these bloodlines. Below them, Konoha continued its daily rhythm, Merchants closing shops, children being called home for dinner, ninja returning from missions or departing under cover of approaching darkness. None aware of the ancient powers stirring in their midst, of old dangers newly awakened. We need to tell him more, Jiraiya said after a long silence. About his heritage, about what the Shinzo-Kugen truly represents. If Orochimaru comes for him, and he will, Naruto needs to understand what he's protecting. Hiruzen sighed, the sound carrying the weight of decades of difficult decisions. Not yet. Let him bond with his team first. Establish those connections. Overwhelming him with too much knowledge too quickly could be as dangerous as leaving him ignorant. And the first mission to Wave Country? Will you still approve it, given these developments? The question hung between them, laden with implication. The Hokage returned to his desk, shuffling through the mission scrolls until he found the C-rank request from the bridge builder, Tazuna. Yes, he decided, but with modifications. You'll shadow them, unseen unless absolutely necessary. Consider it a controlled test. Naruto's first mission outside the village will show us how the Shinzo-Kugen responds to genuine combat situations. Jiraiya nodded, accepting the assignment without protest, a measure of how seriously he took the situation. And if Orochimaru's agents make a move, Hiruzen's eyes hardened, a glimpse of the god of shinobi emerging from behind the grandfatherly facade. Then they will learn why tampering with Konoha's future is a fatal mistake. As dusk settled over the village, two of the legendary Sanin's former teammates contemplated the third, a brilliant mind twisted by ambition and forbidden knowledge, now circling back toward the village he had betrayed, drawn by the golden light of eyes that could see the truth of all creation. The board was set. The pieces were moving. And at the center of it all, a boy with whisker marks on his cheeks and ancient power in his veins supped soundly, dreaming of teammates who had seen his true strength and accepted him anyway. Team 7 had formed. The real journey was just beginning. Mist curled like spectral fingers across the water's surface, shrouding the small boat as it cut silently through the morning haze. The only sound was the rhythmic dip and pull of the boatman's oar, each stroke sending ripples dancing outward into the fog. Team 7 huddled in tense silence, senses straining against the white void that surrounded them. Naruto crouched at the bow, one hand gripping the gunwale until his knuckles bleached white. The enormity of their situation, their first real mission, their first time beyond Konoha's protective walls, buzzed through his veins like lightning. Something was off about this mission, had been from the start. The bridge builder Tazuna's nervousness, Kakashi's unusually heightened vigilance, the boatman's insistence on silence. It all reeked of secrets. There's the bridge, Tazuna whispered, his voice barely audible over the water's gentle lapping. A massive structure materialized from the mist like a sleeping giant, half-finished but already magnificent, concrete pillars thrusting skyward like a titan's ribcage. Naruto's breath caught in his throat. This was what they were protecting, not just a man, but a dream made solid, a lifeline for an entire country. Amazing, Sakura breathed, green eyes wide with wonder. Even Sasuke looked impressed, though he masked it quickly behind his customary indifference. How much further? He asked, voice pitched low. We'll dock in a small cove nearby, the boatman murmured. Less chance of being seen. Being seen by whom? Naruto couldn't contain the question any longer. This was supposed to be a C-rank escort mission. Why all the sneaking around? Tazuna's weathered face creased with guilt. Kakashi's single visible eye fixed on the old bridge builder with knowing intensity. Perhaps our client would like to revise his mission parameters, the Jonin suggested, his casual tone belied by the steel beneath. The confession poured from Tazuna in a desperate torrent. The tyrant Gato, the stranglehold on Wave Country's economy, the bridge that represented their only hope of independence. By the time he finished, they had docked in a secluded inlet, mist still clinging to the shoreline like reluctant ghosts. So you lied to manipulate Konoha into providing protection you couldn't afford, Sasuke summarized, dark eyes narrowed. This mission is beyond your current capabilities, Kakashi stated flatly. We should return to the village. We can't just abandon them. Naruto exploded, leaping to his feet so violently the boat rocked. These people need us. For once, I agree with Naruto, Sasuke said, surprising everyone. We've come this far. Turning back now would be inefficient. Sakura nodded, resolve hardening her features. We're Team 7. We don't abandon missions or people just because things get difficult. Something like pride flickered across Kakashi's masked face. Very well. But understand, this is now potentially a B-rank mission, possibly higher. Stay alert and follow my instructions precisely. As they disembarked, the mist began to thin, sunlight spearing through in golden shafts that turned water droplets to suspended diamonds. The forested path leading inland felt alive with tension, every rustling leaf a potential enemy. Naruto felt the change first, a prickling awareness crawling across his skin like static electricity. His Shinzo-kugen, though dormant, had heightened his baseline sensory perception. Something was watching them, something powerful. Get down! Kakashi's shout shattered the silence. The world slowed as Naruto tackled Suzuna, driving the old man to the ground as a massive blade whirled overhead like a circular saw, embedding itself in a tree trunk with a meaty thunk. Bark exploded outward, showering them with wooden shrapnel. A figure materialized atop the sword's hilt. A muscular man with bandages covering the lower half of his face and skin the color of ash. The air around him vibrated with malice so potent it seemed to have physical weight. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi identified, voice suddenly hard as forged steel. Demon of the hidden mist. Zabuza's laugh was a blade dragged across stone. The copy ninja Kakashi. Your reputation precedes you. His eyes, cold and calculating, swept over the genin with dismissive assessment. Sending children to protect the bridge builder? Konoha must be desperate. The killing intent that rolled off him crashed against Naruto like a physical wave. A tsunami of murderous pressure that froze his breath in his lungs and turned his muscles to water. It was primal, overwhelming, the certainty of imminent death transmitted directly to the hindbrain. I can't move, Naruto realized with raw panic. None of us can move. Beside him, Sasuke trembled violently, a kunai half raised to his own throat as the pressure crushed his will to resist. Sakura had fallen to her knees, eyes wide with animal terror. Stay behind me, Kakashi ordered, raising his headband to reveal a spinning red Sharingan. Protect Tazuna. The command penetrated Naruto's fear just enough to kick his body into motion. But the terror remained, washing through him in nauseating waves. As Zabuza's hands flashed through seals and thick mist began to roll in around them, obscuring everything beyond arm's reach, that terror crystallized into something else. A desperate need to see, to understand. The Shinzo-kugen answered. Golden light bloomed behind Naruto's eyes, transforming the world in an instant. The mist wasn't just water vapor. It was chakra-infused, threads of Zabuza's energy woven through every droplet like a vast sensory network. Through it, the assassin could track their movements, anticipate their defenses, and more. Naruto could see Zabuza's presence multiplying, water clones forming at the mist's edges, indistinguishable from the original to normal senses. He's creating clones, Naruto called out, voice steadier than he felt. 6 of them. Using the mist as a medium, Kakashi's head snapped toward him, surprise flashing across his usually impassive face. You can see through the mist? I can see everything, Naruto confirmed, the golden perception of his Kekkei Genkai rendering the battlefield in crystalline detail. The real Zabuza is 30 meters northeast, by the large oak. The clones are moving to surround us. A cold chuckle drifted through the mist. Interesting eyes you have there, boy. Zabuza's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. A dojutsu I don't recognize. Perhaps I'll take them after I finish this job. The threat ignited something in Naruto, not fear, but defiance. He focused harder, pushing his perception deeper into the mist, into the very structure of Zabuza's technique. The water clones weren't just shapes. They were complex chakra constructs, water molecules bound together by specific energy patterns. And patterns could be disrupted. Acting on pure instinct, Naruto channeled his own chakra, not into a jutsu, but into the mist itself. Gold-tinged energy spread outward from him like ripples in a pond, colliding with the foreign chakra that animated the water clones. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, like ice sculptures touched by flame, the clones collapsed simultaneously. Their binding chakra unraveled at the molecular level. The mist thinned abruptly, revealing Zabuza's genuine shock. Impossible, the assassin growled. No genin should be able to counter that technique. Kakashi didn't waste the opening. He launched forward, Sharingan spinning, kunai clashing against Zabuza's massive blade in a shower of sparks. The battle escalated to Jonin speed, too fast for normal eyes to follow. But Naruto's Shinzokugen tracked every movement, every fluctuation of chakra. What just happened? Sakura whispered, pressing close to Naruto's side as they maintained a protective ring around Tazuna. Naruto disrupted the chakra structure of the water clones. Sasuke answered before Naruto could, his analytical mind quickly processing what he'd witnessed. He didn't counter the jutsu. He unmade it. The pride in Naruto's chest was quickly tempered by practicality. His intervention had created an opening, but Zabuza was still lethal, still determined. The assassin and Kakashi had taken their battle to the nearby lake, waterwalking as they exchanged increasingly devastating techniques. Behind you! Naruto shouted as his enhanced perception caught another clone forming from the lake water, directly in their blind spot. Sasuke pivoted instantly, hands flashing through seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. The superheated blast struck the emerging clone, flash boiling it back to formless vapor. No sooner had it dissipated than a second clone surged from the opposite direction, sword already swinging in a deadly arc toward Tazuna's exposed neck. Time slowed to honey-thick crawl in Naruto's perception. He saw the blade's path with perfect clarity, saw that neither he nor his teammates could intercept it physically. But he could see something else too, a flaw in the clone's chakra structure, similar to the weakness he'd exploited in Kakashi's earth wall during their bell test. His hand thrust forward, golden chakra surging through his palm as he pushed against that weak point. The clone's chest collapsed inward as if struck by an invisible battering ram, water spraying outward in a harmless fountain. Out on the lake, the battle had turned against Kakashi. Zabuza had trapped him in a sphere of water, a prison technique that required constant contact to maintain. A water clone approached the shore, killing intent radiating like heat from a forge. Run! Kakashi ordered, voice distorted through the water. Complete the mission. He can't pursue you while maintaining this prison. No, Naruto stated flatly, golden eyes blazing as he assessed the situation. We're not leaving you. He turned to his teammates, mind racing. Sasuke, I need your shuriken, the big one, your demon windmill. And I need a distraction. Understanding dawned in Sasuke's dark eyes. Without question, he passed a massive folded shuriken to Naruto, then launched into another fireball jutsu aimed at Zabuza's approaching clone. Sakura, catching on, added her own contribution, a flash bomb hurled with perfect accuracy at the clone's feet. The dual assault didn't destroy the construct but forced it to defend, buying precious seconds. Naruto channeled chakra into the shuriken, feeling it resonate with his Shinzokugen's energy. Then, with a running start, he hurled it toward the real Zabuza, not at him, but on a trajectory that would bypass him entirely. Pathetic, Zabuza sneered, not bothering to move as the weapon sailed past. The transformation technique released with a pop, revealing Naruto's shadow clone hurtling through the air. Kunai already in mid-throw aimed at Zabuza's extended arm. The assassin had no choice. Release the prison or lose the limb. Water crashed down as Kakashi was freed, already moving to counterattack before he'd fully regained his footing. What followed was a battle beyond anything Naruto had witnessed. Two master shinobi unleashing their full arsenals, the lake itself becoming a weapon as massive water dragons coiled and struck like living creatures. Through his Shinzokugen, Naruto saw more than jutsu. He saw the fundamental principles that governed them, the way chakra bound to natural elements, reshaping reality according to the user's will. It was beautiful and terrifying, a glimpse into the true depth of the shinobi arts. When Kakashi finally gained the upper hand, mirroring Zabuza's techniques with uncanny precision, victory seemed assured. The assassin stood pinned against a tree, bleeding from a dozen wounds, Kakashi's kunai poised for the killing strike. The Senbon needles came from nowhere, striking Zabuza's neck with surgical precision. The massive body went limp instantly, collapsing like a puppet with cut strings. A masked figure appeared on a nearby branch, slender, dressed in a battle kimono with a hunter-nin mask concealing their features. Thank you for weakening him. The newcomer's voice was soft, almost musical. I've been tracking Zabuza for weeks. A Kiri hunter-nin, Kakashi identified, Sharingan still exposed but his posture easing slightly. Here to collect the bounty? To eliminate a traitor to the mist, the hunter corrected, leaping down to examine Zabuza's still form. The demon of the hidden mist is my assignment. Your assistance is appreciated, but no longer required. Something about the Hunter Nin's chakra signature caught Naruto's attention. Through the golden perception of his Shinzokugen, he could see an unusual pattern. Ice affinity dominant, but with strange resonant frequencies that somehow felt familiar. Your chakra, Naruto blurted, unable to contain his curiosity. It's different. Like mine, but colder? The Hunter Nin froze, mask turning toward Naruto with sudden intensity. Your eyes, they whispered, voice losing its professional detachment. What are they? Before anyone could respond, Kakashi swayed dangerously, then collapsed in a boneless heap, chakra exhaustion claiming him mid-stance. The interruption shattered the moment. Sakura rushed to Kakashi's side while Sasuke maintained a defensive position before Tazuna. When they looked back, the Hunter Nin had vanished, taking Zabuza's body with them. Well, Tazuna managed, breaking the stunned silence. My house isn't far. Your sensei needs rest, and you all look like you could use a hot meal. Kakashi's revelation came hours later, as Team 7 gathered around his futon in Tazuna's modest home. Zabuza is alive, the Jonin stated without preamble, his visible eye grave. Hunter Nin dispose of bodies on the spot. They don't transport them. The Senban, Sasuke realized immediately. Precise placement to induce a death-like state. Exactly. We have a week at most before he recovers, and he won't be alone next time. Kakashi struggled to sit up, wincing at the effort. That Hunter Nin is his accomplice, and if my suspicions are correct, a wielder of a rare Kekkei Genkai, the ice release. Naruto's breath caught. That's why their chakra felt strange. I could see ice crystals forming in their pathways. A Yuki clan survivor, Kakashi confirmed. Thought extinct after Kiri's bloodline purges. Potentially as dangerous as Zabuza himself. What do we do? Sakura asked, analytical mind already calculating scenarios. You're in no condition to fight, and if they both attack together, we train. Kakashi's eye curved in a determined smile. Starting tomorrow, we prepare for round 2. Dawn painted the forest in watercolor hues, dew glistening on every surface like scattered diamonds. Team 7 stood beneath towering pines, their breath fogging in the crisp morning air as Kakashi explained the tree walking exercise, a chakra-controlled technique that would allow them to fight more effectively. When Zabuza returned, Sakura mastered it almost immediately, her naturally precise control making the exercise trivially easy. Sasuke progressed steadily, determination etched into every line of his body. Naruto, despite his enormous reserve, struggled, his chakra too wild, too abundant to easily contain. Focus smaller amounts, Kakashi advised, leaning heavily on a crutch. Imagine throttling a faucet down to a trickle. By mid-afternoon, when Sakura returned to guard Tazuna at the bridge, Naruto and Sasuke remained, driving themselves to exhaustion as they competed to reach higher marks on their respective trees. Their rivalry, once purely antagonistic, had evolved into something more complex, each pushing the other to improve, to excel. As twilight approached, Naruto collapsed at the base of his tree, muscles trembling with fatigue. Sasuke dropped down beside him, equally spent, the bark of their trees scarred with kunai marks showing their slow but steady progress. Why aren't you using it? Sasuke asked abruptly, breaking the companionable silence. Naruto didn't pretend to misunderstand. The Shinzokugen? Kasumi-sensei says I shouldn't rely on it for basic training. I need to master normal chakra control first, or I'll never develop proper fundamentals. Sasuke nodded, surprising Naruto with his lack of argument. Logical. The Sharingan works similarly, a shortcut that can become a crutch if misused. He glanced sideways, curiosity overtaking his usual reserve. What does the world look like? Through those eyes? The question caught Naruto off guard. It was the first time anyone had asked about his experience rather than the technique's capabilities. It's like he searched for words to capture the ineffable. Like seeing the blueprints of reality. Chakra isn't just visible, it's tangible, readable. I can see how jutsu are constructed, where the connections are strongest and weakest. He gestured to the forest around them. Even these trees are networks of energy to me, life force flowing from roots to crown. Everything connects to everything else. Sasuke absorbed this, expression thoughtful. Like the Sharingan's analytical abilities, but deeper. Yeah, I guess. But it doesn't copy techniques. It understands them. Naruto plucked a leaf, twirling it between his fingers. Kakashi-sensei says it's because the Shinzo-Kugen predates modern jutsu. It sees chakra as it was before being categorized into elements and techniques. Something shifted in Sasuke's expression. Not quite envy, not quite respect, but a complex mixture of both. Without another word, he rose and returned to his tree, attacking the exercise with renewed determination. Naruto watched him go, understanding more than Sasuke might realize. They were both heirs to powerful bloodlines, both orphaned, both seeking validation through strength. Different paths leading to similar destinations. He didn't notice the figure watching from deeper in the forest. Hunter-Nin mask tilted with curious assessment. The encounter came the next day, as Naruto trained alone in a sunlit clearing. Exhausted from chakra depletion, he dozed off beneath a flowering tree, only to awaken to the sensation of being watched. A beautiful youth knelt nearby, gathering herbs in a woven basket. Long, silky hair framed a face of delicate features and large, expressive eyes. "You'll catch cold, sleeping outdoors," they said, voice soft and melodious. Naruto sat up, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Who are you, Haku?" "I'm collecting medicinal herbs for a friend who is unwell." They gestured to the basket. "You're a ninja, aren't you?" "From your headband." "Yeah. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm going to be Hokage someday." The familiar declaration burst from him automatically, brightened by the stranger's gentle demeanor. Haku smiled, something wistful touching their eyes. "Do you have someone precious to protect?" "True strength comes from defending those we care about." The question resonated deeper than Naruto expected. "I do. My teammates, my village. People who've acknowledged me after a lifetime of being ignored." "Then you understand," Haku murmured, fingers trailing across a flowering herb. "What it means to be truly strong." They fell into conversation that flowed with surprising ease, discussing dreams and purpose and the nature of strength. Only as Haku prepared to leave did something shift, a subtle change in their chakra that Naruto's heightened senses detected even without his Shinzo-Kugen active. "Your friend," Naruto said slowly, pieces clicking into place. "It's Zabuza, isn't it?" "You're the Hunter-Nin." Haku stilled, basket clutched against their chest. "How did you know?" "Your chakra, it has the same resonance I felt on the battlefield." Naruto didn't rise, made no threatening move. "You could have killed me just now. Why didn't you? Why didn't you activate those golden eyes the moment you recognized me?" Haku countered softly. They regarded each other across a chasm of circumstance. Enemies by assignment, but not by nature. "Your Kekkei Genkai," Naruto ventured. "The ice release." It felt familiar somehow, like it was speaking to mine. Haku's eyes widened fractionally. "I felt it too. When your chakra disrupted Zabuza-san's water clones, it resonated with my own in ways I've never experienced." They hesitated, then asked with genuine curiosity, "What are they called?" "Your golden eyes?" "The Shinzo-Kugen. The divine ancestry eye." The admission felt like a gift, a bridge across their forced enmity. "Divine ancestry," Haku repeated, wonder coloring their voice. "That explains the resonance. The Yuki clan has ancient legends about golden-eyed gods who taught the first ice wielders their craft, before the shinobi villages, before the elemental nations. The revelation sent electricity down Naruto's spine." "You think our bloodlines are connected?" "Perhaps not directly, but they may share origins in something older, something primordial." Haku took a step backward, a reluctant farewell. "Next time we meet, it will be as enemies. I will fight for Zabuza-san with everything I possess. And I'll fight to protect my precious people," Naruto answered, resolve firming his voice. Haku nodded, a sad smile touching their lips. "Perhaps in another life, we could have been friends." "Maybe we still can be," Naruto offered, the optimism that defined him shining through. "After all this is over." Haku didn't answer, turning away with a whisper of fabric. At the forest's edge, they paused, looking back over one shoulder. "Your eyes, they're changing you, aren't they? I can sense it. The old power awakening." "Be careful, Naruto Uzumaki. Some gifts come with prices we don't understand until we've already paid them." With that cryptic warning, they vanished into the trees, leaving Naruto with questions that multiplied like ripples in a disturbed pond. The week passed in a blur of training and tension. Kakashi recovered gradually, supervising their preparations while sharing what intelligence he had on Zabuza and ice wielders. Naruto and Sasuke mastered tree walking and progressed to water walking, their chakra control improving by measured increments. Sakura divided her time between guard duty with Tazuna and developing her genjutsu skills under Kakashi's guidance. Throughout it all, an undercurrent of inevitability flowed beneath their efforts. The certainty of confrontation, the knowledge that their next encounter with Zabuza would be decisive. That certainty crystallized on the morning of the 7th day, when they accompanied Tazuna to the bridge and found the workers unconscious, the structure shrouded in unnatural mist. "He's here," Kakashi warned, uncovering his Sharingan. "Stay sharp. Protect Tazuna at all costs." The mist thickened, heavy with chakra that tasted like iron and blood on Naruto's heightened senses. Without conscious thought, his Shinzokugen activated, the world transforming into networks of golden energy and crystalline detail. "I see them," he reported, voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his system. Zabuza at 2 o'clock, fully recovered. The hunter Nin, Haku, is with him, 20 meters to his right. Their chakra is building for something big. Zabuza's laugh echoed through the mist, distorted and menacing. "Those eyes again. Quite the sensor you've brought, Kakashi. But it won't save you this time." The mist parted enough to reveal their adversaries. Zabuza standing with his massive sword resting across his shoulders, Haku beside him in full battle attire. Hunter Nin mask in place. "The bridge builder dies today," Zabuza stated, killing intent radiating outward in suffocating waves. "Choose whether you die with him." "Formation B," Kakashi ordered calmly. Team 7 instantly moved to surround Tazuna. Naruto and Sasuke in front, Sakura behind, Kakashi at point. "I'll take Zabuza," the Jonin continued. Naruto, Sasuke, handle the masked one. Sakura, last defense for Tazuna. Divide and conquer? How predictable. Zabuza formed a seal, and water clones materialized from the mist, surrounding them in a ring of deadly intent. "Let's see how your brats handle real killers." The battle erupted with explosive force. Kakashi engaged Zabuza directly, their clash sending shockwaves across the bridge. Water clones surged toward Team 7 from all directions, met with fire jutsu from Sasuke and shadow clones from Naruto. Through the chaos, Haku moved with liquid grace, targeting Sasuke with Saban that seemed to materialize from thin air. Naruto tracked the ice user's movements with his Shinzokugen, calling out warnings that allowed Sasuke to evade by increasingly narrow margins. "Behind you!" Naruto shouted as Haku flickered into existence at Sasuke's blind spot. The Uchiha pivoted just in time to block Haku's strike, the clash locking them in momentary stalemate. "You're fast," Haku acknowledged, voice muffled behind their mask. "But I'm faster." One-handed seals, a technique Naruto had never witnessed, flashed in rapid sequence. Secret jutsu, crystal ice mirrors. The air temperature plummeted as water molecules crystallized into massive ice mirrors, arranging themselves in a dome around Sasuke. Haku stepped backward into the nearest mirror, their reflection appearing simultaneously in every surface of the frozen prison. "What is this?" Sasuke demanded. Kunai raised defensively as he found himself surrounded by a dozen identical Hakus. Naruto's Shinzokugen revealed the technique's true nature, a space-time manipulation using ice as a medium, allowing Haku to exist simultaneously in multiple locations, moving between mirrors at speeds too great for normal eyes to track. "Get out of there!" Naruto yelled, rushing toward the ice dome. He hurled himself through the gaps between mirrors, sliding to a stop beside Sasuke just as the attack began. Saban rained from all directions, too numerous to dodge completely. Both boys twisted and deflected what they could, but needles found flesh regardless, piercing non-lethal points with surgical precision. "Now you're both trapped," Haku's voice echoed from every mirror. "I don't wish to kill you, but for Zabuza-san, I will harden my heart and become a true shinobi weapon." More Saban flew, a metallic storm that left Naruto and Sasuke resembling human pincushions, blood speckling the ground beneath them in crimson constellations. Through the pain, Naruto pushed his Shinzokugen deeper, searching for the technique's weakness. The ice wasn't normal ice. It was infused with Haku's chakra, created a closed system that somehow bent space between the mirrors. Sasuke, Naruto gasped between labored breaths. The mirrors. They're connected. If we disrupt one, I see it, Sasuke interrupted, his voice strained but determined. Something had changed in his eyes. A red glow beginning to manifest, Tomo spinning into existence. My Sharingan is awakening. I can track their movement now. The revelation brought hope surging through Naruto's chest. Together, with his Shinzokugen's perception and Sasuke's newly awakening Sharingan, they might have a chance. But Haku had been holding back, testing them. The next barrage came faster, more precisely targeted. Sasuke managed to deflect most of the Senbon aimed at vital points, his emerging Sharingan granting him incremental advantage. Then Naruto saw it, Haku's real body, flickering between mirrors in a pattern that became predictable once identified. There, he shouted, pointing to a mirror at the dome's apex. 3 seconds from now, Sasuke's hands flashed through familiar seals. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Multiple small fireballs rocketed toward the indicated mirror just as Haku materialized within it. The ice user dodged, but not completely. One fireball clipped their kimono, sending them tumbling to the bridge's surface outside the mirror dome. Now, Naruto charged, shadow clones manifesting to flank the temporarily vulnerable Haku. The ice user recovered with inhuman grace, dispatching Naruto's clones with efficient Senbon strikes. The real Naruto leapt over the dissipating smoke of his duplicates. Kunai raised for a disabling strike. Haku's hands blurred into single-handed seals once more. I'm sorry, they whispered, genuine regret coloring their voice. Ice spikes erupted from the bridge surface, aimed directly at Naruto's exposed torso. There was no time to dodge, no possibility of evasion. A blur of blue and white intercepted the attack. Sasuke stood before Naruto, ice spikes protruding from his body at gruesome angles, blood streaming from puncture wounds across his chest and abdomen. Why? Naruto gasped, catching his teammate as Sasuke staggered backward into his arms. Sasuke's lips, already turning blue from shock, curved in a faint smirk. My body just moved on its own. His newly awakened Sharingan faded, dark eyes dulling as his strength ebbed. Don't you dare lose, Uzuratanki. With those words, Sasuke went limp in Naruto's arms, head lolling backward as consciousness fled. Something broke inside Naruto, a dam holding back emotions too vast to be safely contained. Grief, rage, and desperate denial collided in his chest, creating a maelstrom that swept rational thought away like autumn leaves in a hurricane. Sasuke! The name tore from his throat, raw with emotions he had no words to express. Carefully, reverently, he lowered his teammate to the bridge surface, arranging his limbs with gentle precision. When he rose, something had changed, not just in his eyes, but in the very air around him. The Shinzokugen blazed with unprecedented intensity. The golden iris now shot through with amber filaments that pulsed like living things. The spiral pattern expanded, the 3 concentric rings rotating slowly in opposite directions. Power radiated from him in visible waves, golden light outlining his form in a corona of primordial chakra. You killed him, Naruto whispered, each word weighted with terrible purpose. He was precious to me. I understand your pain, Haku answered softly, mask tilted in what might have been regret. This is the shinobi way. No. The denial came from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. There is another way. There has always been another way. The Shinzokugen's perception deepened beyond anything Naruto had experienced, past chakra networks, past jutsu construction, into the fundamental fabric of space-time itself. He could see the distance between himself and Haku not as fixed measurement but as malleable concept, a construct that could be folded, compressed, manipulated. Without hand signs, without conscious direction, he reached with his mind and folded space. One moment, Naruto stood beside Sasuke's fallen form. The next, he materialized directly before Haku, the intervening distance negated as if it had never existed. His fist connected with the Hunternin's mask before either of them fully registered what had happened, ceramic shattering beneath the impact. Haku flew backward, mask fragments cascading around them like macabre confetti. They tumbled across the bridge surface, coming to rest against the concrete pylon, face now exposed to the mist-filtered sunlight. Naruto stood frozen, the golden light of his evolved Shinzokugen illuminating his stunned expression. You're the person from the forest. Haku touched their bloodied lip, eyes soft with resignation. Yes. Fate is cruel in its symmetry, isn't it? To make us understand each other only to force us into conflict. The revelation doused some of Naruto's rage, confusion tempering his killing intent. How did I do that? The movement? Spatial compression, Haku explained, rising unsteadily to their feet. Your Kekkei Genkai second stage, if the legends are true. You're evolving rapidly. Before Naruto could process this, a spike in chakra from across the bridge drew both their attentions. Through his enhanced perception, he witnessed Kakashi preparing his lightning blade, Zabuza immobilized by ninja hounds. The killing strike moments from execution. Zabuza-san. Haku's face transformed with desperate concern. Without hesitation, they formed a single-handed seal, ice mirror materializing beside them. I'm sorry, Naruto. My purpose still stands. Understanding dawned with sickening clarity. You're going to sacrifice yourself for him. He gave me purpose when I had none. A tool has only one final service to perform for its master. Haku stepped toward the mirror, determination etched into every line of their face. Something shifted in Naruto's perception, a realization that transcended the battlefield, the mission, even his grief for Sasuke. In Haku, he saw a reflection of what he might have become without Iruka, without the third Hokage, without the precious bonds that had given his existence meaning beyond mere survival. Wait! The command carried unexpected authority. Naruto reached out, not physically but with his Shinzokugen, seeing the chakra threads that would transport Haku to Zabuza's side, and gently, carefully, unraveling them. The ice mirror dissolved into crystalline dust. Haku's technique disrupted at its foundation. What did you? Haku began, eyes wide with disbelief. There's another way, Naruto insisted, the golden light of his eyes intensifying. There's always another way. With instinctive mastery born of desperation, Naruto compressed space once more, not just for himself, but enveloping Haku in the technique as well. Together they materialized beside Kakashi, whose lightning-wreathed hand was already descending towards Zabuza's heart. Stop! Naruto's voice cracked with the force of his command. Sheer surprise accomplished what rational argument might not have. Kakashi's lightning blade sputtered and died mere inches from Zabuza's chest, the Jonin's visible eye widening at his student's sudden appearance and transformed eyes. Naruto, what are you? He began, only to fall silent as he registered Haku's presence and Naruto's golden ember gaze. Enough people have died, Naruto stated, authority beyond his years resonating in his voice. The bridge builder lives. The bridge will be completed. Gato is the enemy, not each other. Touching sentiment, Zabuza growled, still immobilized by Kakashi's Rinnegan. But this is business, kid. I was hired to kill the bridge builder, and that contract stands. Does it? Naruto challenged, Shinzokugen allowing him to see the truth beneath Zabuza's bravado. The exhaustion, the growing doubt, the grudging respect. Would Gato honor his agreement with you? A tyrant who built his empire on broken promises? As if summoned by his name, slow applause echoed from the far end of the bridge. Through the thinning mist emerged a short man in an expensive suit, flanked by dozens of mercenaries armed with an assortment of crude weapons. Well, Gato sneered, cane tapping against the bridge surface. The so-called demon of the mist, brought low by Konoha trash. How disappointing. Zabuza's eyes narrowed dangerously. Gato. You're early. Change of plans. The businessman's smile was all teeth and no warmth. You've become a liability, Zabuza. Too expensive, too high profile. These gentlemen, he gestured to the mercenaries, work much cheaper, and they'll be happy to finish what you started, after they deal with you. The betrayal hung in the air, confirmation of Naruto's suspicions. Killer intent shifted targets, Zabuza's rage now directed at his former employer. Release me, he demanded of Kakashi, voice deadly quiet. This just became a mutual problem. Kakashi's eye flicked to Naruto, who nodded once, Shinzokugen still blazing with otherworldly light. The Rinnegan disappeared in puffs of smoke, freeing the mist ninja. Haku, Zabuza flexed his injured arms. My sword. Yes, Zabuza-san. The ice user retrieved the massive blade from where it had fallen during the earlier battle. As Haku handed the weapon to its owner, Naruto noticed something extraordinary through his Shinzokugan. The sword, Kubikuribocho, resonated with his activated Kekkei Genkai. Ancient seals embedded in the metal glowing faintly in his enhanced perception. Your blade, Naruto said, surprise coloring his voice. It's reacting to my chakra. Zabuza paused, eyes narrowing as he studied Naruto with new assessment. The 7 swords of the mist were forged before the hidden villages, boy. Legend says they were created using techniques taught by golden-eyed sages from the mountains. A wolfish grin split his bandaged face. Perhaps there's more to your bloodline than pretty light shows. Before Naruto could process this revelation, Gato lost patience. Enough talking. Kill them all and throw their bodies in the ocean. Double pay for whoever brings me the bridge builder's head. The mercenaries charged with a cacophony of battle cries. A wave of steel and killing intent surging toward the ninja. What followed was a masterclass in cooperative devastation. Zabuza and Kakashi, moments ago locked in mortal combat, moved with synchronized lethality through the mercenary ranks. Haku's ice techniques immobilized clusters of attackers, while Sakura maintained a protective perimeter around Tazuna and the still unconscious Sasuke. And Naruto, transformed by grief and revelation, became something beyond genin classification. The second stage of his Shinzokugan allowed him to compress space selectively, appearing among mercenary groups to deliver devastating strikes before they could react, then vanishing to repeat the process elsewhere. It was over in minutes. Gato stood alone at the bridge's edge, his hired muscle reduced to unconscious or groaning heaps scattered across the concrete. Four ninja approached him with measured steps, each radiating lethal capability. Wait, the businessman pleaded, backing toward the precipice. We can negotiate. I have money resources. The people of Wave have heard enough of your negotiations, Zabuza growled, hefting his massive sword. The bridge will be completed, Kakashi added, visible eye cold with judgment. And you will face justice for your crimes. Gato's face contorted with desperate calculation. You self-righteous fools. Do you think this ends with me? There will always be another Gato. Business is business, and strength determines. His diatribe ended abruptly as an arrow pierced the ground at his feet. All eyes turned to the opposite end of the bridge, where the entire village of Wave had assembled, led by Inari, Tazuna's grandson, clutching a small crossbow. This is our country, the boy shouted, courage rendering his voice steady despite his trembling hands. We won't live in fear anymore. The villagers' unified roar of agreement seemed to sap the last of Gato's bravado. His shoulders slumped in defeat as Zabuza advanced, sword gleaming dully in the mist-filtered light. For the people of Wave, the swordsman intoned, blade raised for execution. Wait. Naruto stepped forward, Shinzokugan still blazing but its light somehow tempered, controlled. Death is too simple for him. Let him face the justice of those he's wronged. Zabuza paused, studying the golden-eyed boy with curious assessment. You're strangely merciful for someone who was ready to kill me moments ago. It's not mercy, Naruto countered. It's justice. Gato should watch everything he built crumble, should live with the consequences of his actions. Something like respect flickered across Zabuza's features. Without warning, he reversed his grip and struck Gato with the sword's pommel, rendering the tyrant unconscious. Your village, your prisoner, he told the assembled villagers, who rushed forward to secure Gato with lengths of rope. As the immediate threat dissipated, Naruto's adrenaline ebbed, allowing fatigue to crash over him in a suffocating wave. The golden ember light of his Shinzokugan flickered, then faded entirely, returning his vision to normal hues and dimensions. He staggered, suddenly dizzy with chakra depletion. Easy, Kakashi caught his shoulder, steadying him. That was an extraordinary display, but not without cost. Sasuke, Naruto gasped, memory returning with painful clarity. Is he alive? Haku stated quietly, kneeling beside the fallen Uchiha. I never intended to kill him. The ice spike struck precise points to induce a temporary death state, similar to what I did for Zabuza-san during our first encounter. Relief washed through Naruto like a physical force, nearly buckling his knees. He's okay? He will be. Haku confirmed, carefully removing Saban from key pressure points in Sasuke's neck and chest. Though he may wish otherwise when sensation returns. The recovery is uncomfortable. As if on cue, Sasuke gasped harshly. eyes flying open as his body arched with the shock of reawakening nerves. Sakura was at his side instantly, supporting his shoulders as he struggled to orient himself. What happened? The Uchiha managed between gritted teeth, dark eyes finding Naruto. Your eyes, they changed. Yeah, Naruto managed a weak grin. Yours too. Sharingan looks good on you. A ghost of a smirk touched Sasuke's pale lips before pain twisted his features again. Did we win? We survived, Kakashi corrected, gaze shifting meaningfully to Zabuza and Haku, who stood slightly apart, their postures suggesting readiness despite their apparent truce. What happens next remains to be determined. Zabuza rolled his massive shoulders, wincing slightly at his injuries. Our contract died with Gato's betrayal. The bridge builder is no longer our concern. He fixed Kakashi with a level stare. We'll be leaving. Unless Konoha has objections, the underlying question was clear. Would they be pursued as missing Nin, or allowed to depart in peace? Kakashi glanced at his team. Sasuke still recovering, Sakura exhausted but vigilant, Naruto swaying slightly from chakra depletion but determined. A fight now would risk all their lives, with no clear purpose beyond adherence to technical protocol. No objections, he decided. But I suggest avoiding Fire Country for the foreseeable future. Noted. Zabuza shouldered his massive blade, then paused, gaze returning to Naruto. Those eyes of yours, they're a rare gift. In the old scrolls of Kyuri, there are references to golden-eyed sages who walked the elemental nations before the hidden villages, teaching what would become the first Kekkei Genkai to those they deemed worthy. He gestured to Haku. The Yuki clan's ice release might be descended from those teachings. Naruto's eyes widened. That's why Haku's chakra felt familiar to my Shinzo-kugen. Perhaps. Zabuza turned to leave, then added almost casually, if you survive long enough to master that power, look me up. There are questions about the 7 swords that have gone unanswered for generations. Haku stepped forward, meeting Naruto's gaze with quiet intensity. I meant what I said in the forest. True strength comes from protecting what's precious to you. Their eyes flicked meaningfully to Sasuke and Sakura. You found yours. I have mine. With a final nod of acknowledgement, the ice user followed Zabuza into the thinning mist, their figures gradually dissolving into the pearlescent haze. Will we see them again? Naruto asked, watching until they disappeared entirely. Almost certainly, Kakashi sighed, already anticipating the mission report headache awaiting him in Konoha. The whether as allies or enemies remains to be seen. As the mist finally cleared, sunlight broke through in golden shafts, illuminating the bridge that would soon connect Wave Country to the mainland. A bridge that would eventually bear the name the Great Naruto Bridge, in honor of the golden-eyed boy who had shown a beleaguered people that courage could overcome fear, and that there was always another way forward. Team 7 gathered their strength, tended their wounds, and prepared for the journey home. The mission had transformed them all. Sasuke with his newly awakened Sharingan, Sakura with her first taste of true combat, Kakashi with fresh concerns about his most unpredictable student, and Naruto, whose Shinzo-kugen had evolved to its second stage far earlier than anyone had anticipated, granting him abilities that raised as many questions as they answered. Questions about ancient bloodlines, about primordial chakra, about golden-eyed sages who had once taught the first Kekkei Genkai users their craft. As they walked back to Tazuna's house, Sasuke fell into step beside Naruto, moving gingerly but with determined dignity. Your eyes, he said quietly, echoing their earlier conversation but with new understanding. They're evolving faster than you can control them, aren't they? Naruto nodded, uncharacteristically solemn. The power responds to emotion, especially when someone precious to me is threatened. He glanced sideways at his teammate. Like when I thought you died. Something complicated flickered across Sasuke's face. Surprise, followed by an emotion too complex to name. The spatial technique he used that looked similar to the 4th Hokage's Flying Thunder God, but without seals or markers. Dimensional folding, Naruto supplied, recalling Haku's term. Compressing the space between 2 points. It felt natural, like something I always knew how to do but forgot. Sasuke absorbed this, calculating implications with his usual analytical precision. My Sharingan has 2 more stages to achieve. Does your Shinzo-kugen have a 3rd? The question sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. Not fear exactly, but a premonition of significance beyond his current understanding. Kakashi-sensei mentioned something about inscription once, but wouldn't explain further. Their conversation faded into contemplative silence as they rejoined the others, each processing the revelations and transformations this mission had brought. The land of waves lay behind them, but the changes it had wrought would echo forward, reshaping destinies with the inexorable force of tides responding to celestial pull. The Shinzo-Kugan had awakened to its second stage, and somewhere in the mist-shrouded distance, ancient powers took notice of golden light reborn into a world that had nearly forgotten its significance.